Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto learned from Forbidden Scroll and married with Hinata? Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And also check the description. So let's begin the story. Moonlight sliced through the forest canopy, casting dappled silver across Naruto's orange jumpsuit as he crashed through the underbrush. His heart hammered against his ribs. The massive scroll strapped to his back thumping rhythmically with each desperate bound. I did it! He wheezed through a fox-like grin, sweat beading on his forehead. Those Chunin didn't even see me coming. The Forbidden Scroll of Seals, repository of Konoha's most dangerous jutsu, bounced heavily between his shoulder blades as he skidded to a halt in a small clearing. Perfect. Just like Mizuki-sensei had described, secluded, silent, safe. Naruto dropped to his knees, fingers trembling with excitement as he unfurled the ancient parchment. The night air filled with the earthy scent of aged paper and ink. Shadows danced across cryptic symbols and forgotten techniques as Naruto's eager blue eyes scanned the contents. Shadow clone jutsu that looks awesome. His fingertip traced the hand signs illustrated on the scroll. But what's this next part? Naruto's brow furrowed in concentration as he discovered not just one forbidden technique, but an entire section describing advanced chakra control methods. His usual impatience momentarily forgotten, he plunged deeper into the scroll's secrets. Hours melted away. The forest grew silent except for Naruto's occasional muttering and the soft rustle of paper. His chakra flared and ebbed as he practiced the hand signs, his face contorted with focus. Water walking, tree climbing, chakra molding, he whispered, each technique building on the last. Then something caught his eye. A faded diagram depicting a technique eerily similar to the legendary Flying Thunder God Jutsu, but with simpler execution requirements. This looks different, Naruto murmured, fingers tracing the modified seal pattern. It says this variant doesn't need as much chakra control as the original, just massive reserves. His face split into a wide grin. That's me all over. Sweat dripped from his chin as he practiced the hand signs, his chakra swirling around him in visible blue waves. The leaves around him trembled in the artificial breeze generated by his efforts. Hidden behind the thick trunk of an ancient oak, Hinata Hyuga pressed herself against the rough bark, her heart racing almost as fast as Naruto's. Her pale eyes, activated with Byakugan, allowed her to watch his training from a safe distance. Naruto-kun, she whispered, so softly even the night breeze couldn't catch it. A blush heated her cheeks as she observed his determination, his refusal to give up despite multiple failed attempts. Through her Byakugan, she could see something extraordinary. Naruto's typically chaotic chakra was stabilizing, organizing itself, becoming more efficient with each attempt. She pressed her fingers to her lips, mesmerized by the transformation taking place before her eyes. One more time! Naruto growled, sweat streaming down his face. His hands flashed through a complex series of signs. Blue-white chakra erupted around him, swirling like a miniature typhoon. For one breathtaking moment, Naruto vanished, only to reappear 3 meters to the left with an unceremonious thud. I did it! He shouted, leaping to his feet, oblivious to the dirt and leaves clinging to his jumpsuit. I actually did it! He pumped his fist into the air, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten. Then he turned back to the scroll, his curiosity burning even brighter. What else you got for me? His fingers skimmed further down the parchment, stopping at a section marked with an unusual spiral seal. Basic medical ninjutsu? Naruto had never given much thought to healing techniques. They seemed dull compared to flashy attacks. But something about the elegant diagrams of chakra pathways caught his attention. So that's how it works, he murmured, studying the illustrations of how to knit flesh and bone with chakra. He closed his eyes, concentrating on the small cut he'd received on his palm earlier. Following the scroll's instructions, he gathered chakra to his hand, feeling it warm and pulse against the minor wound. When he opened his eyes, the cut was gone. Whoa, he whispered, turning his hand over in disbelief. That's actually really cool. The sound of a twig snapping jerked Naruto's attention away from the scroll. He scrambled to his feet, hands instinctively forming the seal for his newly mastered shadow clone jutsu. Naruto! Irika-sensei's voice cut through the darkness an instant before the Chunin himself appeared, his face a mask of anger and relief. What were you thinking, Iruka-sensei? Naruto's face lit up. You found me already? I've only learned 3 techniques so far. Iruka's expression shifted from anger to confusion. What are you talking about? Do you have any idea what you've done? Yeah. Naruto grinned, completely missing the tension in his teacher's voice. I'm going to pass the secret graduation test. Mizuki-sensei told me all about it. If I learn a technique from this scroll, you have to let me become a ninja. Iruka's face drained of color. Mizuki told you that? The whistle of kunai cutting through air was their only warning. Look out! Iruka shouted, shoving Naruto aside as metal blades thudded into the tree behind them. Mizuki's silhouette appeared on a high branch, his face twisted into a cruel smile. Moonlight glinted off the massive shuriken strapped to his back. Well done finding our little thief, Iruka, Mizuki called down, his voice dripping with mock congratulation. I was worried I'd have to track him through half the forest. Mizuki, what is this about? Iruka demanded, positioning himself protectively in front of Naruto. Why would you trick one of our students? Mizuki's laugh echoed through the trees. Because he's the perfect scapegoat. The demon fox who everyone already hates. Who better to blame for stealing the forbidden scroll? Naruto's face scrunched in confusion. Demon fox? What are you talking about? Mizuki, don't! Iruka shouted, but it was too late. Haven't you ever wondered why everyone in the village despises you? Mizuki's voice turned venomous. 12 years ago, the 9-tailed fox that nearly destroyed our village wasn't killed. It was sealed, inside you. You are the 9-tailed fox. The words hit Naruto like physical blows, each one driving the air from his lungs. The whispers, the cold stares, the parents pulling their children away. Suddenly it all made horrible sense. That's enough! Iruka yelled. Naruto, don't listen to him. Hand over the scroll, demon, Mizuki commanded, reaching for the massive shuriken on his back. Or I'll put you out of your misery right here. The shuriken spun through the air with deadly precision, aimed directly at Naruto's frozen form. Time seemed to slow down as the weapon sliced toward him. But Naruto wasn't frozen anymore. His hands flashed through signs, newly practiced, perfectly executed, and in a burst of chakra he vanished. The shuriken embedded itself in the ground where he had stood just a heartbeat before. What? Mizuki's triumphant expression dissolved into shock. Naruto reappeared behind him on the branch, his movements so fast it seemed impossible. Looking for me, sensei? He growled, his voice deeper, deadlier than his usual tone. Before Mizuki could turn, Naruto's foot connected with his back, sending the traitor crashing to the forest floor. Iruka stared up in disbelief. Naruto? How did you? I told you I learned some techniques, Naruto called down, a strange new confidence in his voice. His hands formed another sign. And this is my favorite so far, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The clearing exploded with orange-clad figures, not 2 or 3 illusions, but dozens of solid clones, each humming with chakra. No way, Iruka breathed, his eyes wide. Those aren't illusions, they're solid clones. Mizuki scrambled to his feet, terror replacing his earlier confidence as he found himself surrounded by a sea of identical, angry Narutos. You said I'm a demon fox? The original Naruto asked, his blue eyes flashing dangerously. Then maybe I should act like one. The Naruto army converged on Mizuki in a blur of orange and blonde. The sound of fists connecting with flesh echoed through the forest, punctuated by Mizuki's increasingly feeble cries. When it was over, Mizuki lay unconscious in a small crater of his own making, while Naruto stood over him, barely winded. Maybe I overdid it a little, he said, scratching the back of his head with a sheepish grin that was pure Naruto. Iruka leaned against a tree, clutching a wound on his leg that had opened during the commotion. Naruto, that was incredible. Naruto's expression softened as he noticed Iruka's injury. Sensei, you're hurt. Before Iruka could protest, Naruto knelt beside him, hands hovering over the wound. Blue chakra glowed between his palms. What are you doing? Iruka asked, wincing. Something else I learned from the scroll, Naruto replied, his face scrunched in concentration. Just basic medical stuff. But the bleeding slowed, then stopped altogether as the edges of the wound began to close. Naruto, Iruka whispered, that's not basic at all. That's Chunin-level medical ninjutsu at least. Naruto looked up, surprise written across his features. Really? It seemed pretty simple in the scroll. Iruka studied his student with new eyes, taking in the subtle changes in his chakra flow, the steadiness of his hands, the focus in his gaze. This wasn't the impulsive, struggling academy student from yesterday. Close your eyes, Naruto, Iruka said suddenly. Huh? Why? Just do it. Naruto complied, feeling Iruka shift beside him. Something soft and fabric brushed against his forehead. You can open them now. Naruto's hand rose to touch the metal plate now secured to his forehead, Iruka's own headband. Congratulations, Naruto, Iruka said, smiling despite his exhaustion. You graduate. Tears welled in Naruto's eyes. But the exam. I failed the exam. Sometimes being a ninja isn't about written tests or performing techniques on command, Iruka replied. It's about courage, determination, and the will to protect others. You've shown all of that tonight. Naruto launched himself at Iruka, wrapping him in a fierce hug that nearly knocked them both over. Thank you, he whispered, voice thick with emotion. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. The third Hokage watched the scene unfold in his crystal ball, pipe smoke curling around his weathered face. He had witnessed everything. Naruto's unexpected aptitude for advanced techniques, his battle with Mizuki, even his rudimentary healing jutsu. Most interesting, he murmured, stroking his beard thoughtfully. The boy learned not just one forbidden technique, but several, and in a single night. An ANBU member knelt beside him, awaiting orders. Should we retrieve the scroll and bring the boy in for questioning, Lord Hokage? Hiruzen Sarutobi took a long draw from his pipe, considering. No, he decided finally. Have a team collect Mizuki and the scroll. As for Naruto, he smiled faintly. I believe he's earned a night of rest. We'll speak with him tomorrow. The ANBU vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the Hokage alone with his thoughts. Minato, he said softly to the empty room, your son may surpass you sooner than any of us expected. Dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gold as Naruto made his way back to his small apartment. His body ached from the night's exertions, but his heart was lighter than it had been in years. The village was just beginning to stir, shopkeepers opening their stalls, early risers heading to training grounds. A few shot him the usual cold looks, but today, Naruto barely noticed. His fingers kept rising to touch the headband on his forehead, proof that he was finally, officially, a ninja of the hidden leaf. I'm going to be Hokage someday, he whispered to himself, the words carrying new weight. And after tonight I actually might have a shot. He flexed his fingers, feeling the chakra flowing through them, steadier now, more controlled than it had ever been. The techniques from the scroll had changed something fundamental in his understanding of chakra. As he rounded the corner to his street, he caught a flash of midnight blue hair disappearing behind a fence. Huh! He squinted, sure he'd seen someone watching him. Is someone there? No answer came except the morning breeze rustling through the leaves. Naruto shrugged and continued on his way, unaware of the pale, lavender eyes that followed his progress, or the small smile on Hinata Hyuga's face as she whispered a private congratulation to the boy who had just taken his first step toward changing his destiny. Behind the fence, Hinata pressed her fingers together, her heart pounding. You'll be a great ninja, Naruto-kun, she whispered. I've always believed in you. For Naruto Uzumaki, the night that should have ended in disaster had instead become the beginning of something extraordinary. A new path forward, with abilities no one expected and a future brighter than he dared to imagine. The Forbidden Scroll had given him more than just techniques. It had given him possibility. Morning light streamed through the classroom windows, painting golden rectangles across the wooden floor. The academy buzzed with the electric energy of graduation day, voices overlapping in a symphony of excitement, nervousness, and ambition. Dreams about to take flight. Naruto leaned against the doorframe, observing the chaos with newfound clarity. The familiar weight of his forehead protector centering him, grounding him to this moment that once seemed impossible. His fingers absently traced the metal plate, its surface cool against his skin. You gonna stand there all day or actually come in? Shikamaru's drawling voice cut through Naruto's reverie. Naruto flashed a grin, but something about it was different, less desperate for attention, more genuinely confident. Just taking it all in. Never thought I'd actually make it, you know? Shikamaru's eyebrows inched upward. How did you make it? Last I checked, you couldn't produce a single decent clone. With a casual shrug that belied the whirlwind of the previous night, Naruto strolled past him. Let's just say I found a better way. He slid into an empty seat, aware of the curious glances being thrown his way. The whispers flitted around him like mayflies. Rumors about the scroll incident had already begun circulating. Is it true you beat up a Chunin instructor? I heard he stole something from the Hokage. No way they'd let him be a real ninja. Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on his breathing the way the scroll had instructed. Center your chakra. Feel it circulating. Control the flow. The whispers faded to background noise. The classroom door slammed open, and Sakura and Ino burst through simultaneously, locked in their perpetual rivalry. I was first, Sakura declared, her pink hair slightly disheveled from the race. In your dreams, billboard brow. Ino shot back, tossing her blonde ponytail defiantly. They froze in synchronized surprise when they spotted Naruto. Sakura's jade eyes narrowed suspiciously. What are you doing here? This meeting is for graduates only. Naruto tapped his forehead protector, metal clinking against his fingernail. News flash, Sakura. I graduated too. Sakura's mouth opened to deliver what would undoubtedly be a cutting retort when she finally registered something different about her usual tormentor. The way he sat, relaxed but poised. The way his eyes met hers, clear, focused, without the desperate yearning that typically made her uncomfortable. How did you? She began. But Iruka chose that moment to enter the classroom, effectively silencing the chatter. Across the room, Hinata Hyuga slipped into her seat, her pale eyes finding Naruto's form immediately. A slight flush colored her cheeks as she remembered watching him train the previous night. The way his chakra had shifted, organized itself, grown stronger. Her fingers pressed together in her usual nervous gesture, but there was a small smile playing at her lips. Congratulations to all of you on becoming genin of the Hidden Leaf Village, Iruka announced, his voice carrying pride and a hint of melancholy. Today, you'll be assigned to your 3-person teams, led by a Jonin instructor. The tension in the room ratcheted up several notches. Friendships, rivalries, and crushes all hung in the balance of these assignments. Team 7, Iruka continued consulting his clipboard. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto straightened, suddenly alert. Sakura Haruno. No! Sakura groaned, while Naruto's expression remained surprisingly neutral. And Sasuke Uchiha. Yes. Sakura's fist pumped skyward as Sasuke made his usual disinterested HN sound from his corner of the room. Naruto's eyes slid to the last Uchiha, studying him with a thoughtfulness that was jarringly out of character. Instead of his usual competitive outburst, he simply nodded once, as if accepting a challenge. Sasuke, sensing the scrutiny, turned slightly. Their eyes locked, midnight black meeting sky blue, and for the briefest moment, something like recognition passed between them. Not friendship, certainly not yet, but perhaps respect? The moment shattered when Iruka continued, Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Hinata's gaze dropped from watching Naruto to her desk, mixed emotions fluttering across her face like shadows. Disappointment at not being with Naruto warred with acceptance of her new teammates. Looks like we're together, Hinata. Kiba's enthusiastic voice carried across the room, his ninja hound Akamaru yipping in agreement from atop his head. A logical combination of tracking abilities, Shino observed quietly, his dark glasses hiding his expression as always. Hinata nodded, offering a small smile to her new teammates. I'll do my best. As Iruka finished the team assignments, he informed them their Jonin instructors would arrive after lunch. The room erupted into motion and conversation as students sought out their new teammates. Naruto stood, stretching his arms overhead, when he noticed a small figure hovering at the edge of his peripheral vision. He turned to find himself face to face with Hinata, who immediately stiffened like a startled rabbit. Hey, Hinata, he said, genuinely puzzled by her obvious nervousness. See, congratulations on graduating, Naruto-kun, she managed, her voice barely audible above the classroom chatter. And on your T-team assignment. Something clicked in Naruto's mind, a flash of midnight blue hair disappearing around the corner at dawn. Were you there last night? In the forest? Hinata's face burned crimson, her eyes widening in alarm. I wasn't. I was just. It's okay, Naruto said quickly, surprising himself with how much he meant it. I'm glad someone else saw. Makes it feel more real, you know? Her shoulders relaxed slightly, relief washing over her features. You were amazing, she whispered, then immediately looked mortified at her boldness. Before Naruto could respond, Kiba appeared, throwing an arm around Hinata's shoulders. Come on, teammate. Let's grab lunch and talk strategy. He dragged her away, leaving Naruto standing alone, a perplexed expression on his face. Had Hinata Hyuga, quiet, weird Hinata who always looked like she might faint, just called him amazing? More importantly, why did that make him feel so warm? 3 hours later, Naruto sat in the empty classroom with Sakura and Sasuke, the only team whose Jonin instructor had yet to arrive. This is ridiculous, Sakura huffed, pacing between desks. Everyone else left ages ago. Sasuke leaned against the window, arms crossed, the picture of cool indifference. Though the subtle tightening around his eyes betrayed his growing irritation. Naruto had spent the first hour fidgeting, the second hour complaining, but now he sat cross-legged on the teacher's desk, eyes closed, hands formed in a seal of concentration. Sakura paused in her pacing to stare at him. What are you doing? Sensing, Naruto replied without opening his eyes. Sasuke's attention shifted to his supposedly dead last teammate. Sensing what? Chakra signatures. There's someone in the hallway. Has been for about 20 minutes. Probably our instructor, watching to see what we do when left waiting. Both of his teammates stared at him as if he'd grown a second head. Since when can you sense chakra? Sakura demanded, hands on her hips. Naruto opened one eye, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. Since I decided to stop pretending I couldn't. Before either could respond, the classroom door slid open to reveal a tall, silver-haired Jonin with most of his face covered and a profoundly bored expression visible in his single exposed eye. My first impression of you all, he drawled, then paused, his eye fixing on Naruto with sudden interest. Is that you're full of surprises? Naruto's grin widened. You have no idea, Kakashi-sensei. The Jonin's visible eyebrow raised slightly. I didn't introduce myself. You didn't have to. Your reputation precedes you. Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja. Naruto hopped off the desk with newfound grace. So, what's next? Some kind of test to see if we're really ready to be genin? A charged silence filled the room as Kakashi studied Naruto with growing intrigue. Meet me on the roof, he finally said, disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke pushed off from the window, his eyes never leaving Naruto. What game are you playing, loser? Naruto met his gaze steadily. No game. Just done hiding. He formed a hand sign and vanished in a flash of speed that left both his teammates momentarily stunned. Did he just? Sakura began. Use a transportation jutsu? Sasuke finished, his voice tight with something between irritation and fascination. On the roof, Kakashi barely concealed his surprise when Naruto materialized beside him in a blur of motion. That wasn't a standard body flicker, the Jonin observed casually. Nope. Naruto plopped down, legs dangling over the edge of the building. Modified Flying Thunder God. Way scaled down from the 4th version, but it works for short distances. Kakashi's single visible eye widened fractionally. And where exactly did an academy student learn a variant of the 4th Hokage's signature technique? Naruto tapped the side of his nose. I've got my sources. Before Kakashi could press further, the roof door banged open as Sasuke and Sakura emerged, both slightly winded from racing up the stairs. Now that we're all here, Kakashi said, smoothly shifting gears, let's begin with introductions. Likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, that sort of thing. Why don't you go first, sensei? Sakura suggested. Show us how it's done, Kakashi shrugged. Me? I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I hate, I don't feel like telling you that. Dreams for the future, never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. That was totally useless, Sakura muttered. All we learned was his name. Sometimes what people don't say tells you more than what they do, Naruto commented absently, eyes tracking a hawk circling overhead. 3 pairs of eyes turned to him in varying degrees of surprise. What? He asked, noticing their stares. It's true. Why don't you go next then, Mr. Insightful? Kakashi suggested, his tone light but his gaze sharp. Naruto's fingers drummed against his knee as he considered his words. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, people who are honest, and learning new jutsu. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes to cook instant ramen, people who judge others without knowing them, and his voice hardened slightly, those who abandon their comrades. My hobbies are training and trying different kinds of ramen. And my dream, he looked up, his blue eyes burning with quiet determination. My dream is to become Hokage, not just so people will acknowledge me, but so I can protect everyone in this village, even the ones who hate me. Silence greeted his words. Even Sasuke seemed taken aback by the unexpected depth. Pinky, you're up, Kakashi said, breaking the moment. Sakura shot him an annoyed look at the nickname before composing herself. I'm Sakura Haruno. What I mean, the person I like is. She glanced at Sasuke and giggled. My hobby is another giggle. My dream for the future is a full-blown blush and more giggling. And what do you hate? Kakashi prompted. Naruto. She declared automatically, then faltered, glancing at her unusually composed teammate. I mean, I used to. Now I'm not sure. Fair enough, Naruto said with a good-natured shrug. Last one, Kakashi nodded towards Sasuke. The Uchiha's voice was cool, detached. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan, and destroy a certain someone. The rooftop fell silent except for the whisper of wind and distant sounds of the village below. Good. Kakashi clapped his hands together. You're each unique and have your own ideas. We'll have our first mission tomorrow. What kind of mission? Naruto asked, though his tone suggested he already suspected the answer. A survival exercise, Kakashi confirmed, his eye crinkling in what might have been a smile beneath his mask. But this isn't like your previous training, because if we fail, we get sent back to the academy, Naruto finished for him. Right, Kakashi's visible eye narrowed slightly. You seem remarkably well informed, Naruto. Just connecting the dots, sensei. Why else would only 9 graduates out of 27 actually become genin? Sakura gasped. What? But we worked so hard to get here. What was the graduation test for then? That was just to select candidates who might become genin, Kakashi explained. This is the real test, with a 66% failure rate. His tone turned cheerful. Meet at training ground 3 at 5 a.m. Bring your ninja gear. Oh, and skip breakfast, you'll throw up. He vanished in another swirl of leaves, leaving his potential students to digest this information. Sakura looked stricken. Sasuke's jaw clenched in determination. Naruto simply stood up, stretching. He's testing our ability to see through deception. Eat breakfast. How would you know? Sasuke challenged. Because if he wanted to test our physical abilities, he'd want us at full strength. Naruto met Sasuke's skeptical gaze. But do what you want. I'm getting ramen. He turned to leave, then paused, looking back at his teammates with an unexpected softness in his expression. One more thing, whatever this test is tomorrow, I'm betting it's about teamwork. Think about it. Why put us in 3-person cells if we're meant to work alone? With that parting wisdom, he formed a hand sign and disappeared, leaving behind a swirl of leaves that mirrored Kakashi's exit. Sasuke and Sakura stood in stunned silence. What the hell happened to him? Sakura finally whispered. Sasuke's dark eyes narrowed on the spot where Naruto had vanished. I don't know, he admitted reluctantly. But I intend to find out. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi puffed contemplatively on his pipe as Kakashi materialized before his desk. Your assessment? The Hokage asked without preamble. Kakashi's usually bored expression had been replaced by one of genuine intrigue. He's nothing like his file suggests. The chakra control, the jutsu knowledge, the tactical awareness, he shook his head. It's like someone swapped out the dead last prankster for a Chunin-level prodigy overnight. And the seal? Stable, as far as I can tell. Whatever's happening, I don't think it's the Nine-Tails influence. This feels different. The Hokage exhaled a stream of smoke that curled toward the ceiling. The Forbidden Scroll contained more than just the shadow clone technique. If he had several hours with it, you think he learned multiple forbidden jutsu in a single night? Kakashi's tone was incredulous. I think, the Hokage said carefully, that Naruto Uzumaki has always had extraordinary potential. Perhaps all he needed was the right catalyst, and the right techniques to help him control his massive chakra reserves. Kakashi considered this. It's also possible he's been hiding his abilities all along, playing the fool while observing everything around him. An interesting theory, Hiruzen conceded. Either way, it seems the sun of the yellow flash is finally beginning to shine. What would you have me do? The Hokage's weathered face creased in a small smile. Test him, of course. Push him. See what he's truly capable of. But Kakashi, his voice grew serious. Watch over him. Whatever path he's found himself on, he'll need guidance. Kakashi nodded, understanding the weight of the responsibility. And his teammates? The last Uchiha and a girl with perfect chakra control and extraordinary intelligence, Hiruzen mused. On paper, a team with tremendous potential, or tremendous volatility, Kakashi added dryly. Indeed. That will depend largely on you. The Hokage tapped his pipe against his desk. I'm curious to see how your bell test unfolds with this unexpected development. Kakashi's eye crinkled in what might have been a smile or a grimace. That makes two of us, Lord Hokage. Twilight painted the village in shades of purple and gold as Naruto made his way through a rarely used training ground deep in the forest surrounding Konoha, far enough from prying eyes yet close enough to be within the village's protective barrier. Perfect. The clearing still bore scorch marks from the previous night's training session. Naruto created a dozen shadow clones without breaking stride, each immediately setting to work on different tasks, some practicing chakra control by water walking on a small pond, others working through the hand signs for the modified Flying Thunder God, still others reading scrolls Naruto had borrowed, some might say stolen, from the academy library. The original Naruto sat cross-legged in the center of this industrious activity, eyes closed, focusing on the sensation of multiple perspectives flooding his consciousness. Another unexpected benefit of the shadow clone technique. Each clone's experience returned to him when they dispelled. Accelerated learning, he murmured to himself, a smile playing at his lips. No wonder it's forbidden. A twig snapped at the edge of the clearing. In an instant, all activity ceased. 13 pairs of identical blue eyes focused on the source of the disturbance. Who's there? Naruto called, kunai appearing in his hand from a sleeve holster. Silence answered him, but his heightened senses detected the subtle shift of chakra. Familiar, gentle, almost apologetic. His stance relaxed. Hinata? Is that you? A small eep confirmed his guess before the Hyuga heiress reluctantly stepped from behind a tree, fingers pressed together nervously, face flushed with embarrassment. I'm sorry for disturbing you, Naruto-kun, she stammered, eyes downcast. I was just training nearby and heard her voice trailed off as she finally registered the dozen identical Narutos scattered around the clearing, all staring at her with identical expressions of surprise. These are solid clones, she whispered, her Byakugan activating instinctively. All with fully functioning chakra networks. The original Naruto dispelled his clones with a hand sign, approaching her with a curious expression. You can see chakra networks with those eyes, right? Hinata nodded, the veins around her eyes receding as she deactivated her bloodline limit. The Byakugan allows us to see chakra pathways and points. A thought occurred to her. Is that how you knew I was watching you last night? Did you sense my chakra? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, looking sheepish. Actually, I didn't notice you during training. I just caught a glimpse of you this morning when I was heading home. Oh. Her face fell slightly. But that's why I'm practicing sensing now, he added quickly, not understanding why her disappointment bothered him. So I'll be better at it next time. Her pale eyes lifted to meet his, a small smile curving her lips. Next time? Yeah. I mean, Naruto felt uncharacteristically flustered under her gaze. If you want to train together sometime? Your eyes could probably help me understand chakra flow better than any scroll. The smile that bloomed across Hinata's face transformed her entirely. The shy, stuttering girl momentarily replaced by someone radiant with joy. I would like that very much, Naruto-kun. For reasons he couldn't quite explain, Naruto found himself smiling back just as brightly. Great. Maybe after I see what Kakashi-sensei has planned for us tomorrow? Hinata nodded eagerly. Team 8 is meeting with Kurenai-sensei tomorrow too. Kurenai? I've heard she's really good with genjutsu, Naruto said, surprising himself with the knowledge. Yes, and tracking, Hinata added, her stutter noticeably absent as they discussed shinobi matters. Kibakuin, Shinokuin, and I all have abilities that work well for reconnaissance. Naruto considered this thoughtfully. That makes sense. My team, he frowned slightly. I'm still trying to figure out what they're going for with us. On paper, we're a frontline assault team, but what? Hinata prompted when he trailed off. But our personalities are a disaster, he finished with a chuckle. Sasuke's a loner, Sakura's focused entirely on Sasuke, and he gestured vaguely at himself. You're amazing, Hinata said softly, then immediately looked mortified at her boldness. Naruto blinked in surprise. You really think so? She nodded, unable to meet his eyes. Thanks, Hinata, he said, and meant it. Hey, would you mind showing me something with your Byakugan before you go? I've been trying to figure out this chakra molding technique from a scroll I found, but I can't tell if I'm doing it right. Eager to help and relieved by the change of subject, Hinata activated her Byakugan again. What are you trying to do? This. Naruto formed a series of hand signs, and his chakra began to swirl visibly around him. Am I wasting chakra anywhere? Through her enhanced vision, Hinata could see the complex web of energy flowing through his body, far more vast and dense than any genin she'd ever observed, and surprisingly well controlled for someone with such enormous reserves. Your main pathways are efficient, she analyzed, slipping into the technical language of her clan's training, but you're losing about 20% through your secondary network, especially around your shoulders, and she stopped herself from mentioning his stomach, where a strange, complex seal system contained the most concentrated chakra she'd ever seen. And your hands, she finished instead. Naruto's face lit up. That's exactly what I needed to know. Can you show me where the leakage points are? For the next hour, they worked together, Hinata guiding Naruto's chakra control with increasingly confident instructions, Naruto absorbing the knowledge with remarkable speed. Neither noticed the deepening darkness until owls began to hoot in the surrounding forest. It's getting late, Hinata said reluctantly, realizing they'd lost track of time. Yeah, Naruto agreed, equally disappointed. I should probably get some rest before Kakashi-sensei's test tomorrow. He brightened. But this was great. I learned more in an hour with you than I would have in days on my own. Hinata's face glowed with pleasure at the praise. I'm glad I could help. As they packed up their gear, a comfortable silence settled between them, the kind shared by people who had found unexpected common ground. I'll walk you home, Naruto offered suddenly. Oh. You don't have to. I want to, he insisted, then added with a grin. Besides, I've never seen the Hyuga compound up close. As they made their way through the darkening forest and back toward the village, Naruto found himself stealing glances at his quiet companion. How had he never noticed her before? Her gentle strength, her incredible eyes, her kindness? Hinata, he said as they approached the imposing gates of the Hyuga estate, thanks again. You really are an amazing kunoichi. Under the moonlight, her smile was small but genuine, a quiet confidence emerging from beneath years of doubt and insecurity. Good luck tomorrow, Naruto-kun. You too. As she disappeared behind the gates, Naruto stood for a moment longer, a thoughtful expression on his face. Then he turned toward his apartment, hands in his pockets, whistling softly. Tomorrow would bring Kakashi's test, the beginning of his official journey as a ninja of the Hidden Leaf. But tonight had brought something unexpected, perhaps even more valuable than any technique from the Forbidden Scroll. A friend who saw him clearly, even before he'd learned to see himself. The Hokage's office smelled of aged parchment and piped tobacco, sunlight streaming through the windows to illuminate dancing dust motes. Team 7 stood at attention. Well, Sasuke and Sakura did. Naruto leaned against the wall with arms crossed, eyes scanning the mission scrolls stacked on the desk with undisguised boredom. Another D rank? He groaned as the third Hokage unrolled a scroll. If I have to chase that demon cat one more time. Naruto! Iruka, seated beside the Hokage, snapped. Shows some respect. Kakashi's visible eye flicked toward his most unpredictable student. 2 weeks of mundane missions had proven one thing. Whatever had changed in Naruto went deeper than just new jutsu. The boy completed even the most tedious tasks with unexpected efficiency, his shadow clones turning hours of work into minutes. Yet beneath the newfound competence, Kakashi sensed a simmering frustration, like a blade yearning to be tested. The Hokage's weathered fingers tapped against the scroll. Perhaps something more challenging is in order. Naruto straightened immediately, blue eyes sharp with interest. This is unusual, the Hokage continued, but given your team's unique composition, I'm willing to make an exception. I have a C-rank escort mission. We'll take it, Naruto declared before anyone else could speak. Sasuke's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. Even he couldn't deny the tedium of their current assignments. The door creaked open, and the sour stench of alcohol immediately overpowered the room's pleasant aroma. A gray-haired man with a lined face and bleary eyes stumbled in, sake bottle clutched in one weathered hand. These are the ninja I'm paying for? Tazuna slurred, squinting at Team 7 with obvious disappointment. They're just kids. Especially the short one with the stupid face. Naruto didn't rise to the bait, merely tilting his head with an evaluating gaze that made Tazuna shift uncomfortably. He's scared, Naruto said quietly, startling everyone in the room. What was that, brat? Tazuna demanded, face flushing with anger, or perhaps fear. Naruto pushed off from the wall, moving with fluid confidence until he stood directly before the bridge builder. His voice remained low, meant only for Tazuna. Your hands are shaking. You've been drinking to steady your nerves, not for pleasure. You keep glancing toward the window, expecting someone to crash through it. His eyes narrowed. This isn't a C-rank mission, is it? Tazuna's complexion paled to a sickly gray. Kakashi stepped forward, placing a restraining hand on Naruto's shoulder. That's enough. His tone was light, but his grip tightened in warning. Naruto stepped back, face impassive. Just thought we should know what we're getting into. The Hokage's thoughtful gaze moved between Naruto and Tazuna. Is there something you've neglected to mention about this mission, Tazuna-san? The bridge builder's shoulders sagged in defeat. I couldn't afford a higher-ranked mission. The land of waves is poor. We're being strangled by a shipping magnate named Gato. If I don't complete this bridge connecting us to the mainland, my people will starve. So Gato wants you dead, Kakashi concluded. He's probably hired ninja, Naruto added, folding his arms. Missing Nin, most likely since legitimate villages wouldn't take such a politically complicated contract. Tazuna stared at him, mouth agape. How could you possibly know that? Naruto shrugged. Logical deduction. Gato's an established crime lord with known Yakuza connections. The economics of hiring Missing Nin makes sense for a targeted assassination. Silence fell across the room as everyone stared at the formerly dead last student. What? Naruto asked, breaking the tension. I read. This mission should be reclassified as B rank at minimum, Irika protested. Genin aren't ready. We'll take it, Naruto repeated, cutting him off. Turning to his teammates, he raised an eyebrow. Right, Sasuke nodded, dark eyes gleaming with the prospect of a real challenge. If Sasuke-kun is going, then I am too, Sakura added, though her voice quavered slightly. Kakashi sighed. Well, it seems my cute little genin have made their decision. Lord Hokage? Hiruzen Sarutobi puffed contemplatively on his pipe, his sharp eyes never leaving Naruto. Very well. Team 7 will escort Tazuna-san to the land of waves and protect him until the bridge is completed. He leaned forward. But at the first sign that this mission exceeds your capabilities, you are to return immediately. Understood, Kakashi? The Jonin nodded solemnly. Crystal clear. As they filed out of the office, Tazuna caught up to Naruto in the hallway. How did you know? He whispered urgently. About Gato hiring ninja? Naruto's gaze, suddenly far older than his years, sent a chill down the bridge builder's spine. Because it's what I would do if I were him. Without waiting for a response, he continued down the corridor, leaving Tazuna to wonder just what kind of children he'd hired. The forest path stretched before them, dappled shadows dancing across the dirt as sunlight filtered through the leaves above. Birds called from the branches, their songs mingling with the rhythmic crunch of 5 sets of footsteps. Naruto walked slightly ahead of the group, senses extended outward in the sensing technique he'd been refining with Hinata's help. His awareness brushed across each member of their party. Kakashi's vast, controlled chakra reservoir, Sasuke's precise, fire-natured signature, Sakura's smaller but extraordinarily well-regulated network. and Tazuna's untrained civilian presence, fluttering with anxiety. But there was something else. Two signatures, carefully suppressed but still detectable to his enhanced awareness, moving parallel to the road. Naruto slowed his pace slightly, falling in step beside Kakashi. "We're being followed," he murmured, eyes fixed straight ahead. Kakashi didn't turn, but his posture shifted subtly. "How many?" "2. Chunin-level chakra reserves. About 50 meters back, keeping pace." Pride flashed briefly through Kakashi's visible eye. "Well spotted. How long have you known?" "About 10 minutes. They're being careful, but they splashed through a puddle." Naruto's mouth quirked. It hasn't rained in weeks. A warm breeze rustled the leaves above, carrying with it the sweet scent of summer forest and the metallic tang of "Now!" Naruto shouted, spinning around as two dark figures erupted from the tree-ling. The demon brothers moved like quicksilver, their poisoned claws glinting in the dappled light, razor-sharp chain whipping between them. Their first target, the team's Jonin leader. The chain wrapped around Kakashi in a blur of motion, constricting with a sickening crunch as metal teeth bit deep. Blood sprayed across the path as the copy ninja was seemingly torn apart before his students' horrified eyes. "One down," one of the brothers hissed through his breathing apparatus. Sakura screamed, frozen in place by the sudden violence. Sasuke's hands flew to his kunai pouch, face set in grim determination. But Naruto was already moving. His hands flashed through signs with practiced precision, and in a burst of yellow-tinged speed, he vanished, only to reappear directly between the attacking ninja, his timing so perfect that the deadly chain connecting them now tangled around his substituted form. "What the?" one of the brothers gasped. Naruto's kunai sliced through the chain's weakest link, severing the brothers' connection. In the same fluid motion, he planted an explosive tag on each stunned attacker's chest. "I wouldn't move if I were you," he advised, voice dangerously calm as he backflipped away. "Those tags respond to sudden chakra fluctuations. Try to use a jutsu," and he mimed an explosion with his hands. The brothers froze, eyes wide behind their masks. "Impressive," Kakashi's voice drawled as he stepped out from behind a tree, completely unharmed. "Though you could have waited for my signal. Your death was signal enough," Naruto replied with a shrug. "Besides, I didn't kill them. Thought you might want to ask some questions." Sasuke lowered his kunai, irritation and grudging respect warring on his face. "How did you move so fast?" "A modified transportation jutsu," Naruto explained, though his eyes remained fixed on the captured missing nin. "Still working out the kinks, but it's handy in a pinch." Kakashi approached the immobilized attackers, his lazy demeanor replaced by cold professionalism. "The demon brothers of the hidden mist. Gozu and Meizu, if I'm not mistaken. Missing nin who usually work for Zabuza Momochi," Naruto finished, earning another sharp look from his teacher. "What? I told you I read." "Naruto," Sakura's voice quavered as she finally found her composure. "How did you know they were going to attack?" "There was a puddle on the road when it hasn't rained in over a week," Sasuke answered for him, clearly annoyed that he'd missed such an obvious clue. Kakashi bound the brothers securely while Naruto carefully removed and deactivated his explosive tags. "Tazuna-san," the Jonin said, his tone deceptively light, "I believe it's time you told us exactly what we're dealing with." As Tazuna launched into a more detailed explanation of Gato's tyranny over the land of waves, Naruto faded back from the conversation, his mind racing ahead to implications none of the others had voiced yet. If the demon brothers were here, their master couldn't be far behind. And Zabuza Momochi was no Chunin-level threat. He was a former member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, an A-rank missing nin known as the Demon of the Hidden Mist. Just what had they walked into? Mist rolled across the water's surface in ghostly tendrils, transforming the lake into an otherworldly landscape of shadow and vapor. The small boat cut silently through the fog, its motor off to avoid detection as the boatmen propelled them with a single oar. Naruto sat at the bow, fingertips skimming the glassy surface. His reflection rippled back at him, distorted and strange, a visual echo of how he felt inside. The changes since that night with the Forbidden Scroll ran deeper than new jutsu and better chakra control. Sometimes, in quiet moments like this, he barely recognized himself. "We're approaching the bridge," the boatman whispered, his voice barely audible above the gentle lapping of water against the boat's hull. The massive structure loomed out of the mist like a sleeping giant, incomplete, but already awe-inspiring in its scale and ambition. That's impressive, Sakura breathed, green eyes wide. It's our only hope, Tazuna replied grimly. Once complete, Gato's shipping monopoly will be broken, and that's why he wants you dead, Sasuke concluded. The shoreline materialized from the fog, a dark smudge against the gray backdrop. As they disembarked, Naruto felt it again, that prickling sensation at the edge of his senses. They were being watched. Kakashi-sensei, he murmured as they began their trek inland. The Jonin nodded almost imperceptibly. I know. The forest here was different from the land of fire, darker, more primeval, with massive trees whose gnarled roots erupted from the damp earth like the knuckles of buried giants. Moss hung in thick curtains, muffling sound and creating an eerie silence broken only by the occasional distant bird call. Naruto moved to point position without being asked, his enhanced senses stretched to their limit. Every shadow might hide an assassin, every rustle of leaves could signal attack. A white blur shot across their path. Get down! Naruto shouted, tackling Tazuna as Kakashi simultaneously forced Sasuke and Sakura to the ground. A massive blade cleaved the air where they had stood, its passage leaving a vacuum that pulled at their clothes and hair before embedding itself in the trunk of an ancient tree with a resounding thunk. A figure materialized atop the blade's hilt, silhouetted against the misty forest. Muscular, shirtless, face half covered by bandages, with eyes that promised efficient, emotionless death. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi stated flatly, rising to his feet. The demon of the hidden mist. The missing Nin's laugh was like gravel being crushed underfoot. Kakashi of the Sharingan. I'm honored you know of me. Stay back and protect Tazuna. Kakashi ordered his team, lifting his headband to reveal a swirling red eye with 3 tomo. This one is beyond your level. Sasuke stiffened at the sight of the Sharingan, his clan's bloodline limit, in Kakashi's socket. Questions burned in his eyes, but survival took precedence over answers. The famous copy ninja, Zabuza mused, crouching on his sword's hilt like a predator ready to spring. They say you've copied over 1,000 jutsu. I wonder if any will help you today. His hands flashed through seals, and the mist thickened unnaturally, reducing visibility to mere feet. Ninja art, hidden mist jutsu. Zabuza's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere as he disappeared into the fog. 8 points, he intoned, his voice echoing. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. Which vital spot should I choose first? Murderous intent saturated the air like invisible poison, so thick it became difficult to breathe. Sasuke trembled, his face a mask of primal fear as the killing pressure pressed down upon them. Sasuke, Kakashi called without turning, calm down. I won't let my comrades die. But it wasn't Sasuke who responded, neither will I. Naruto's voice cut through the fear like a blade through silk. The killing intent washing over them suddenly met resistance as Naruto's own chakra flared protectively around the group. This mist is just water particles suspended in air. It can't stop sound or smell. His hands formed a seal, and 3 shadow clones popped into existence, taking up defensive positions around Tazuna. Zabuza's chuckle reverberated through the mist. Interesting brats you've got, Kakashi. But party tricks won't save them. The attack came with devastating speed, Zabuza materializing between Tazuna and his protectors, sword already mid-swing toward the bridge builder's exposed back. Metal met metal with a shower of sparks as Kakashi intercepted the blow with a kunai, muscles straining against Zabuza's superior strength. Your fight is with me, the copy ninja growled. For now, Zabuza agreed, disengaging with a powerful kick that sent Kakashi flying backward toward the nearby lake. What followed was a deadly dance of jutsu and counter-jutsu, water clones and substitutions, as the 2 Jonin-level shinobi battled across land and water. Kakashi's Sharingan whirled hypnotically, copying Zabuza's techniques even as they were formed. But Zabuza hadn't earned his reputation without reason. A trap within a trap, and suddenly Kakashi found himself imprisoned in a sphere of water, Zabuza's arms submerged to the shoulder to maintain the technique. Water prison jutsu, the missing Nin announced with cruel satisfaction. Nearly unbreakable once formed. And now for the brats. A water clone formed from the lake's surface, advancing menacingly toward the genin and their client. Run! Kakashi shouted from his liquid prison. His water clone can only go so far from his real body. Take Tazuna and escape. Sasuke tensed, clearly torn between obedience and the knowledge that abandoning their teacher meant certain death for Kakashi. Sakura clutched a kunai with white-knuckled determination, though fear made her hands shake visibly. Naruto simply sighed, as if the entire situation was a troublesome but expected development. Sasuke, he said calmly, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? The Uchiha's dark eyes narrowed suspiciously, but he nodded once. When I give the signal, hit the clone with your strongest fire jutsu. Naruto turned to Sakura. The second he does, I want you to throw every kunai and shuriken you have at the real Zabuza, not to hit him, but to force him to dodge or block. What are you going to do? Sasuke demanded. Naruto's smile was unnervingly feral. Something stupid. Before anyone could question further, he charged directly at Zabuza's water clone, hands blurring through signs. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. The clearing erupted with orange-clad figures, swarming toward the water clone in a chaotic mass. The clone's sword sliced through them effortlessly, each dispelling with a spray of water. But they served their purpose as distraction. Now! Naruto shouted. Sasuke's hands flashed through seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A massive sphere of flame roared from the Uchiha's mouth, engulfing the water clone and transforming it instantly to steam that billowed upward in a thick cloud. Simultaneously, Sakura launched her full arsenal of throwing weapons at the real Zabuza, forcing him to twist awkwardly while maintaining the water prison. In that moment of distraction, hidden by steam and flying weapons, Naruto vanished in a yellow flash, reappearing directly behind Zabuza on the lake's surface. A kunai already slashing toward the arm maintaining the water prison, Zabuza's reflexes were extraordinary. He released the prison and spun away from the strike, but not before Naruto's blade nicked his forearm, drawing first blood. Kakashi burst free from the collapsing water sphere, gasping but already moving to put himself between Zabuza and his student. Fall back, Naruto! He ordered, but the genin didn't retreat. Instead, he skipped backward across the water's surface, hands forming the distinctive cross seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen Narutos surrounded Zabuza, each holding an identical kunai marked with a small, intricate seal. What's this? Zabuza growled, sword at the ready. More clones for me to cut down? Not exactly, all the Narutos replied in unison, throwing their kunai simultaneously. Zabuza deflected most with contemptuous ease, but it didn't matter. The kunai embedded themselves in a rough circle around the missing nin, and each bore a modified Flying Thunder God seal. The original Naruto formed a final hand sign, and the world became a blur of yellow flashes as he teleported rapidly between the marked kunai, striking at Zabuza from multiple angles in the span of seconds. None of the strikes did significant damage against the Jonin's superior defenses, but that wasn't the point. Naruto had created a zone where he could move faster than even Zabuza could track. A deadly game of keep away that prevented the missing nin from launching a counterattack against Kakashi, or the others. Impressive, Zabuza acknowledged through gritted teeth, but futile. His massive sword swept in a complete circle, forcing Naruto to teleport upward to avoid being bisected. In that moment of aerial vulnerability, Zabuza's hands blurred through seals. Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. A massive serpentine form erupted from the lake, jaws open to engulf the airborne genin. Naruto! Sakura screamed from the shore. But Kakashi was already moving, his own hands completing the same sequence of seals. Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. An identical water dragon collided with Zabuza's, both exploding into a drenching rain that momentarily blinded everyone. When vision cleared, Kakashi and Zabuza stood facing each other on the lake's surface, mirror images as they flowed through identical hand signs at impossible speed. How are you? Zabuza began, clearly unnerved. Copying me? Kakashi finished for him. I can see your future, Zabuza. And your future is death. A massive water vortex erupted beneath the missing nin, sending him crashing into a tree trunk with bone-crushing force. He slumped forward, coughing blood, as Kakashi approached with kunai in hand. This is the end, the copy ninja stated flatly. But before the killing blow could land, Saban needles whistled through the air, embedding themselves in Zabuza's neck with surgical precision. The missing Nin's body went limp, eyes glazed and lifeless. A masked figure appeared on a nearby branch, slender, dressed in the distinctive uniform of Kirigakure's Hunter Nin Corps. "Thank you for your assistance," the newcomer said in a soft, androgynous voice. "I've been tracking Zabuza for weeks." Naruto, who had regrouped with his teammates, narrowed his eyes suspiciously. "A Hunter Nin? Awful convenient timing." The masked ninja inclined their head. "Sometimes convenience is merely good fortune." They leapt down, lifting Zabuza's considerable weight with surprising ease. "I must dispose of the body immediately. The secrets of the hidden mist must not fall into outside hands." Before anyone could object, the Hunter Nin disappeared in a swirl of leaves, taking Zabuza's body with them. Kakashi replaced his headband over his Sharingan, then promptly collapsed. "Sensei!" Sakura cried, rushing forward. Naruto caught Kakashi before he hit the ground. "Chakra exhaustion," he diagnosed. "The Sharingan drains him faster because it's not his natural eye." "How do you know that?" Sasuke demanded, the question loaded with multiple layers of meaning. "Same way I know those weren't killing blows," Naruto replied grimly, nodding toward where the Hunter Nin had disappeared with Zabuza. "That was no Hunter Nin. They're supposed to dispose of the body on the spot, not take it away." "You mean?" Sakura's face paled. "Zabuza's still alive," Naruto confirmed. "And we'll be seeing him again very soon." Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami, bustled around the small house, bringing fresh bandages and herbal tea for the recovering Kakashi. The Jonin lay on a futon in the main room, his usual lazy demeanor exaggerated by genuine weakness. "A week," he told his gathered students. "That's how long it will take Zabuza to recover from the temporary death state his accomplice put him in. And that's how long we have to prepare," Naruto added, pacing near the window, eyes constantly scanning the mist-shrouded landscape outside. "Precisely." Kakashi struggled to sit up. "Which means intensive training starts immediately." "What kind of training?" Sasuke asked, dark eyes intense. "Climbing trees," Kakashi replied with an eye smile. Sakura's brow furrowed in confusion. "How is that supposed to help us against someone like Zabuza?" "Not ordinary climbing," Kakashi clarified. "Climbing without using your hands." He gestured toward Naruto. "Would you demonstrate?" Without a word, Naruto walked to the wall and continued right up it, defying gravity until he stood upside down on the ceiling, arms crossed casually. "Chakra control," Kakashi explained. "Concentrating the precise amount of chakra at the bottom of your feet. Too little and you fall, too much and you get repelled. It's the most difficult place to focus chakra, which is why mastering this exercise will improve your control dramatically." Sasuke glared up at Naruto, clearly irritated that this was yet another skill his formerly dead last classmate had somehow acquired ahead of him. "I already know this exercise," Naruto said from the ceiling. "Maybe I should work on something else." "Such as?" Kakashi prompted. Naruto flipped gracefully back to the floor. "Water walking is the next logical progression. Same principle, but the surface is unstable, requiring constant chakra adjustment." Kakashi's visible eye narrowed thoughtfully. "Very well. Sasuke and Sakura will work on tree climbing. Naruto, you'll practice water walking, but with a twist." He tossed a small rubber ball to Naruto. "While maintaining your position on the water, I want you to rotate your chakra inside that ball in multiple directions simultaneously." Naruto caught the ball, eyes widening slightly. "That's the beginning of shape transformation," Kakashi finished with a knowing look. "I think you're ready for it." As the training began in earnest, Naruto found himself standing on the surface of a small pond near Tazuna's house. The rubber ball clutched in his palm as he attempted to make his chakra rotate in conflicting directions within it. Hours passed, marked only by the gradual westward progression of the sun and the rhythmic sounds of Sasuke and Sakura's distant training, running starts, followed by the scratch of kunai marking progress up tree trunks, interspersed with occasional thuds of falling bodies. The rubber ball remained stubbornly inert in Naruto's hand. "You're overthinking it." The voice startled him so badly he nearly lost his footing on the water's surface. Spinning around, he found himself face to face with Tazuna's young grandson, Inari, watching him sullenly from the shore. "What do you mean?" Naruto asked, genuinely curious despite the boy's hostile demeanor. "You're trying to force it," Inari replied with a shrug. Like how my grandpa gets when he's trying to make two pieces of the bridge fit together wrong. He gets all red-faced and angry. But it never works until he steps back and looks at the problem differently. Naruto considered the ball in his palm with fresh eyes. Huh, not that it matters, Inari continued bitterly. You're all going to die anyway. No one can beat Gato. That's so? Naruto asked mildly, attention still focused on the ball. Heroes don't exist in this world, the boy declared, hands clenched into small fists at his sides. Naruto finally looked up, studying the child's pain-filled eyes. Who said anything about heroes? We're ninja. We're tools, weapons, but we choose whose hands wield us. His gaze softened slightly. Someone precious to you died standing up to Gato, didn't they? Inari flinched as if struck, tears welling in his eyes. I thought so, Naruto continued gently. I won't insult their memory by promising to be a hero. But I will finish what they started. The boy stared at him for a long moment before turning and running back toward the house, small shoulders shaking with suppressed sobs. Naruto returned his attention to the ball, Inari's words echoing in his mind. Overthinking it. Looking at the problem differently. Closing his eyes, he recalled Hinata's guidance during their training session, her voice soft but precise as she described how chakra flowed through his network. The memory brought an unexpected sense of calm. He found himself wondering what she was doing right now, whether her team had also received a mission outside the village, if she was using the techniques they'd practiced together. In his palm, the rubber ball suddenly vibrated, then bulged outward in multiple directions as chakra rotated within it at conflicting angles. Naruto's eyes snapped open. What the? The ball exploded with a sharp pop, shredded rubber falling into the pond beneath his feet. Interesting, Kakashi's voice came from behind him. The Jonin stood on crutches at the pond's edge, his visible eye crinkled in a smile. Your chakra responded when you relaxed your conscious control and allowed your emotional state to influence it. Very interesting indeed. Naruto flushed slightly, though he wasn't entirely sure why. I was just thinking about a friend who helped me with chakra control. Hinata Hyuga. Ah, Kakashi said, as if this explained everything. The Hyuga heiress. I've heard she's quite skilled with chakra precision techniques. She is, Naruto agreed, surprised by the warmth in his own voice. She sees things no one else notices. Kakashi's gaze grew more penetrating. People who see us clearly are rare in this world, Naruto. Such bonds should be treasured. Before Naruto could respond, a distant crash followed by triumphant feminine laughter announced Sakura's successful ascent to the top of her assigned tree. The conversation shifted to their teammates' progress, but Kakashi's words lingered in Naruto's mind long after darkness fell and training ended for the day. People who see us clearly are rare in this world. As he lay on his futon that night, listening to Sasuke's measured breathing across the room, Naruto found himself thinking of pale eyes that had seen his potential long before anyone else bothered to look. The mist clung to the unfinished bridge like a shroud, turning the construction site into a ghostly landscape of half-formed shadows and muffled sounds. The metallic tang of blood cut through the heavy dampness. The bodies of Tezuna's workers sprawled across the wooden planks, wounded but alive. He's here, Naruto stated unnecessarily as Team 7 moved into defensive formation around the trembling bridge builder. The mist thickened unnaturally, and that familiar killing intent pressed down upon them once more. Sorry to keep you waiting, Kakashi, Zabuza's disembodied voice echoed through the fog. I see you've still got those brats with you. Look, the short one's trembling again. Multiple Zabuzas materialized from the mist, water clones surrounding them on all sides. Naruto smirked. Trembling with excitement, maybe? Go ahead, Sasuke, Kakashi said casually. In a blur of motion almost too fast to follow, Sasuke eliminated every water clone in the space of seconds, his kunai slicing through water with surgical precision. He returned to position, expression coldly triumphant. Looks like a rival has appeared, Haku? Zabuza emerged from the mist, accompanied by the masked figure who had posed as a hunter Nin. So it seems, the masked ninja replied softly. What followed was a battle that would forever change the destiny of everyone involved. Sasuke found himself trapped within Haku's crystal ice mirrors, a bloodline technique that allowed the masked ninja to move at seemingly impossible speeds. Despite his training, despite the awakening of his own Sharingan during the battle, Sasuke was overwhelmed, his body becoming a pincushion for Haku's Sanban needles. Meanwhile, Kakashi engaged Zabuza directly, both ninja obscured by the thickening mist as their deadly dance resumed. Naruto, torn between helping Sasuke and protecting Tazuna alongside Sakura, made the decision that would alter the course of events. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen clones appeared, surrounding Tazuna and Sakura in a protective barrier. "What are you doing?" Sakura demanded as the original Naruto prepared to leave. "Trusting you," he replied simply. "Keep Tazuna safe. My clones will help, but you're the last line of defense." Something changed in Sakura's eyes, a flicker of determination replacing fear. She nodded once, kunai gripped with newfound steadiness. Rather than charging recklessly into Haku's ice prison, Naruto circled it, analyzing the jutsu structure. The mirrors were connected by a web of flowing chakra, each feeding into the next to create a closed system. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, he thought, eyes narrowing as he spotted a mirror where the chakra flow seemed slightly less intense than the others. From inside the ice dome, Sasuke fought valiantly, his newly awakened Sharingan allowing him to track Haku's movements. But only barely, and his body was failing him as more and more Saban found their mark. "Why don't you just kill me?" he gasped, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Haku paused in their relentless assault. "Because I do not wish to. I am merely a tool for Zabuza-sama's use, but I will not kill needlessly." "A tool?" Sasuke echoed, genuine confusion breaking through his pain. "You're a person, not a—" The mirror behind Haku suddenly shattered as Naruto's fist, wrapped in swirling blue chakra, smashed through it. "Found you," the blonde ninja declared, eyes gleaming with fierce determination. Haku attempted to flee to another mirror, but Naruto had prepared for this. Marked kunai embedded in the bridge platform allowed him to teleport directly into Haku's path, landing a solid kick that sent the masked ninja tumbling across the bridge. "Sasuke!" Naruto called, eyes widening at the sight of his teammate's needle-studded form. "Can you move?" "Barely," the Uchiha admitted, struggling to stand. "Watch out, that one's stronger than they look." Naruto created another shadow clone to help Sasuke retreat toward where Sakura guarded Tazuna, then turned to face Haku, who had risen gracefully back to their feet. "You broke my jutsu," Haku observed, a note of genuine admiration in their voice. "Few have ever managed that." "I'm full of surprises," Naruto replied, settling into a fighting stance. The masked ninja tilted their head curiously. "You are different from most shinobi I have encountered. There is a clarity to your chakra, a purpose beyond mere survival or obedience. Is that why you're holding back?" Naruto countered. "I've seen your speed. You could have killed Sasuke 10 times over, but you deliberately avoided vital points. As I told your friend, I do not wish to kill if it can be avoided." Haku reached up, removing their mask to reveal a face of startling beauty, androgynous, pale, with large dark eyes that held a profound sadness. "But I will fulfill my purpose as Zabuza-sama's tool, even if it means staining my hands with blood." "A person isn't a tool," Naruto argued, echoing Sasuke's earlier sentiment. "We make choices. When a person has no purpose, they are nothing," Haku replied softly. "Zabuza-sama gave me purpose when the world saw me as nothing but a monster to be destroyed. For that, I would die 1,000 deaths." Something in those words struck a chord deep within Naruto. Had things been different, had Iruka not acknowledged him, had the third not shown him kindness, might he have ended up like Haku, desperately clinging to the first person who saw value in his existence? "I understand," Naruto said, and meant it. Having someone who sees you for who you really are, it changes everything. Haku's eyes widened fractionally. "You have someone precious to you as well." The question brought an unexpected image to Naruto's mind, not Iruka or the third or even his teammates, but a girl with midnight blue hair and pale eyes that somehow saw through all his bluster to the person beneath. "Yeah," he admitted, surprised by the realization. "I think I do." A smile of genuine warmth transformed Haku's face. "Then you understand why I cannot fail here. When a person has something precious to protect, that is when they become truly strong." Their conversation was interrupted by a massive surge of chakra from elsewhere on the bridge. Kakashi's lightning blade technique, its chirping sound cutting through the mist like a physical force. Horror dawned on Haku's face. Zabuza-sama, what happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Haku formed a single-hand sign, ice materializing beneath their feet to propel them toward the source of the sound. Naruto, realizing their intent, activated his modified Flying Thunder God technique to intercept. They collided midway, Naruto tackling Haku to the ground mere feet from where Kakashi's lightning-wreathed hand was plunging toward an immobilized Zabuza. "No!" Haku screamed, struggling against Naruto's grip with surprising strength. "You can't save him by dying!" Naruto shouted, pinning the ice user with all his might. "He is my purpose!" Tears streamed down Haku's face. "Without him, I am nothing." The distinctive sound of the lightning blade connecting with flesh ended their struggle. Both froze, turning to witness Kakashi's technique piercing Zabuza's chest. The missing Nin's face a mask of grim acceptance. Zabuza-sama, Haku's voice broke, the fight leaving their body as they slumped in Naruto's grasp. But the battle was far from over. Slow applause echoed across the bridge as a small army of mercenaries emerged from the thinning mist, led by a short man in an expensive suit. "How the mighty fall," Gato sneered, tapping his cane against the bridge. The so-called demon of the mist, dying like a dog. Zabuza, incredibly still alive despite the grievous wound in his chest, turned his head toward the shipping magnate. "Gato, you planned to betray me all along." "Of course," the businessman replied with a cruel smile. "Hiring ninja is expensive. Once you weaken my enemies, my men could finish the job at a fraction of the cost." "Good business sense." Kakashi, exhausted from his battle and chakra use, moved back toward his students and client, assessing the new threat, dozens of armed mercenaries against his injured team. "Release me," Haku whispered to Naruto, no longer struggling. "I must go to him." Naruto hesitated, then nodded, helping Haku to their feet. The ice user stumbled toward their dying master, falling to their knees beside him. "Haku," Zabuza's voice was thick with blood. "You should have run. My place is at your side, Zabuza-sama." Touching, Gato mocked, but futile. "Kill them all," he ordered his mercenaries. "Double pay for whoever brings me the bridge builder's head." The mercenary army charged forward, weapons raised, bloodlust in their eyes. What happened next would become legend in the land of waves. Naruto's hands formed the familiar cross seal. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. The bridge erupted with orange-clad figures, not dozens, but hundreds, each with Naruto's determined expression and ready stance. "What the?" Gato stumbled backward in shock. But Naruto wasn't finished. Drawing on the techniques from the Forbidden Scroll, he directed his massive clone army in a synchronized chakra exercise that sent visible blue energy spiraling around the bridge. Wind style, vacuum pressure wave. The combined technique from hundreds of clones generated a wall of compressed air that slammed into the mercenary ranks, sending men flying in all directions, weapons scattering across the bridge. Those who remained standing faced a second wave of clones, these armed with kunai and shuriken. The battle was brief and decisive. When it ended, Gato found himself surrounded, his army defeated, his schemes in ruins. "How?" the businessman gibbered. "You're just a kid who made a promise," Naruto replied, dispelling his remaining clones with a hand sign. "This bridge will be completed. The land of waves will be free." He turned to where Zabuza lay dying, Haku still by his side. "Come here, boy," the demon of the hidden mist rasped. Naruto approached cautiously, kneeling beside the fallen swordsman. "What you said to Haku about not being a tool," blood bubbled at the corners of Zabuza's mouth. "I was wrong. A shinobi is more than a weapon." His hand fumbled weakly for Haku's. "You were never just a tool to me. You were." "I know, Zabuza-sama," Haku whispered, tears falling freely. "I have always known." "Take care of him," Zabuza told Naruto, his fierce eyes already dimming. "He deserves better than a life of bloodshed." "I will," Naruto promised solemnly. With his remaining strength, Zabuza turned to Kakashi. "My sword. The Kubikarabocho. Give it to the boy. He's earned it." Kakashi nodded silently, understanding the significance of the gesture. One of the 7 swords of the mist, being passed to a genin from a rival village. Zabuza's final breath escaped him as snow began to fall on the bridge, unusual for the season, yet somehow fitting. Haku closed their master's eyes gently. "Is it snowing?" Sakura asked in wonder, looking up at the white flakes drifting from a clearing sky. No, Haku replied softly. These are my tears, freezing as they fall. My ice release responds to my emotions. Naruto placed a hand on Haku's shoulder. You're not alone. We'll figure something out. As the villagers arrived, led by Inari and armed with whatever weapons they could find, they discovered the battle already won. Their fear transformed to jubilation, their despair to hope as words spread that Gato's reign had ended. In the days that followed, the bridge's construction proceeded at a remarkable pace. Haku, after initial suspicion from the villagers, proved invaluable, their ice abilities accelerating the work in ways no one had thought possible. Kakashi arranged for messages to be sent to both Konoha and Kirigakure, negotiating a unique diplomatic solution for Haku's status as a bloodline user from the Mist who had aided a Leaf mission. Finally, the day came for Team 7 to return home, the bridge complete, and the Land of Waves beginning its journey toward prosperity. We'll name it the Great Naruto Bridge, Tazuna announced at the farewell ceremony, to thunderous approval from the gathered villagers. Because he taught us that one person's courage can change the world. Naruto blushed fiercely at the honor, for once at a loss for words. What will you do now? He asked Haku as they prepared to depart. The ice user's expression was serene, the crushing grief of Zabuza's death transformed over the weeks into a quieter, more manageable sorrow. The Mizukage has offered amnesty for bloodline users wishing to return. With the civil war ending, it may be time for me to help rebuild my homeland. You'll always have friends in the Leaf, Naruto promised, clasping Haku's hand firmly. As Team 7 walked away from the newly named bridge, Sakura turned to her unusually quiet blonde teammate. You seem different since the battle, Naruto. More thoughtful. Just thinking about what Haku said, he replied. About precious people making you strong. He glanced at his teammates, a small smile playing at his lips. I think I understand that better now. Kakashi's visible eye crinkled knowingly. And is there someone in particular you're eager to see when we return to the village? Naruto's cheeks colored slightly, but he didn't deny it. Yeah. There's someone I need to thank properly. The gates of Konoha never looked more welcoming as Team 7 completed the final leg of their journey home. The massive wooden doors stood open in the afternoon sunlight, the familiar symbol of the Leaf, a promise of safety and belonging. As they approached the checkpoint, a flash of midnight blue hair caught Naruto's attention. His heart performed an unexpected somersault in his chest. Hinata stood with her team near the gate, apparently just returning from a mission of their own. Her jacket was smudged with dirt, her hair slightly disheveled, but to Naruto's eyes, she had never looked more interesting. Hey, I'll catch up with you guys at the mission desk, he told his teammates, already veering toward Team 8. Kakashi watched him go with undisguised amusement. Young love, he murmured to no one in particular. Hinata! Naruto called, jogging toward the startled Hyuga heiress. She turned, pale eyes widening in surprise and delight. And Naruto-kun. You're back. Kiba rolled his eyes. Great, here comes Loudmouth. Come on Shino, let's report in and leave these two to their stuttering contest. Why? Because social dynamics suggest they would prefer privacy for their interaction, Shino replied flatly, but followed Kiba toward the administrative building nonetheless. Kurenai lingered just long enough to give Hinata an encouraging smile before tactfully withdrawing as well. How was your mission? Hinata asked, fingers pressed together in her habitual nervous gesture. It got upgraded to an A rank, Naruto replied, rubbing the back of his neck. Long story involving a bridge, a missing nin with a giant sword, and a crime lord. Her eyes widened. That sounds dangerous. It was, he admitted. But you know what helped me get through it? Those chakra control exercises we practiced together. I wouldn't have survived without them. Really? A blush crept across her cheeks. Really? Naruto's expression grew uncharacteristically serious. You saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, Hinata. And during the mission, I realized that makes you one of my precious people. The blush deepened to crimson, but something in Hinata's posture straightened with newfound confidence. Precious people? The ones who make you truly strong, Naruto explained, recalling Haku's words. The ones worth fighting for. For a moment, it seemed Hinata might faint from happiness. But she surprised him, and perhaps herself, by stepping forward and, with trembling boldness, taking his hand in hers. You've always been precious to me, Naruto-kun, she whispered, voice steady despite her burning face. The simple honesty of her words hit him like a physical force. In that moment, standing in the shadow of Konoha's gates with their fingers intertwined, Naruto felt something fundamental shift in his understanding of strength, of purpose, of what it meant to be a ninja. Would you like to get ramen? He asked, his own cheeks warming. I could tell you about the mission, and you could tell me about yours. Hinata's smile was radiant. I'd like that very much. As they walked toward Ichiraku, hands still linked, Naruto found himself thinking of all the twists of fate that had led to this moment. The forbidden scroll, the new jutsu, the mission that opened his eyes to what truly mattered. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and dangers he could scarcely imagine, but for now, with the afternoon sun warm on his face and Hinata's hand in his, the future seemed brighter than ever before. Summer heat shimmered above Konoha's rooftops, baking the clay tiles and turning the village into a sun-drenched maze of shifting shadows and blinding light. In the Hokage's office, ceiling fans spun lazily overhead, doing little to dispel the oppressive warmth, as the village's jonin instructors assembled before the third. Kakashi leaned against the wall, the latest volume of Ika Ika Paradise held casually before his face. But his visible eye wasn't tracking the words on the page. Instead, it was fixed on the Hokage, who had just dropped a bombshell. The Chunin exams? Kurina Yuhi echoed, her crimson eyes widening slightly. Lord Hokage, are you certain our rookies are ready? Asuma Sarutobi exhaled a cloud of cigarette smoke, his bearded face thoughtful. It is earlier than usual. The third Hokage's weathered fingers tapped against his desk. The exams being hosted in Konoha provides a unique opportunity. Our genin will have the home field advantage. Politics, Kakashi murmured, snapping his book closed. The real reason is that the Kazekage is sending his children, including their Jinchuriki. We need to make a strong showing. Tension crackled through the room at the mention of another village's tailed beast container. Are you nominating your team, Kakashi? The Hokage asked, cutting through the uneasy silence. I am. No hesitation. No doubt. Kurenai and Asuma exchanged glances. With all due respect, Kurenai began, your team has only been together for 3 months? The same as mine, and yet they successfully completed an A-rank mission that should have killed them twice over, Kakashi countered smoothly. Sasuke has awakened his Sharingan. Sakura's analytical skills are Chunin level already. And Naruto, a hint of pride crept into his voice. Naruto is the most unpredictable ninja in the village. Together they're ready. Then I nominate teammate as well, Kurenai declared, standing straighter. Hinata's Byakugan has never been sharper. Kiba and Akamaru's coordination is exceptional, and Shino's strategic mind rivals Shikamaru's. Asuma sighed, crushing his cigarette in a nearby ashtray. Well, I can't let my old man think I'm slacking as an instructor. Team 10 is in. Ino Shikacho may be green, but their teamwork is in their blood. The Hokage surveyed the 3 jonin, a mixture of pride and concern etched into his face. Very well. All 9 rookies will participate. His voice hardened. But be warned, this year's exam will test them in ways they cannot imagine. Ensure they understand what they're walking into. As the meeting dispersed, Kurenai caught up to Kakashi in the hallway. Was that wise? She asked without preamble. We both know these exams can be deadly. Kakashi's eye crinkled in what might have been a smile beneath his mask. You're worried about your team. That's good. But you've been spending extra time training Hinata, haven't you? Kurenai blinked in surprise. How did you? Because I've been doing the same with Naruto. He studied her reaction carefully. And I suspect it's for the same reason. They've both been blooming lately, haven't they? A small smile tugged at Kurenai's lips. They have. And I think we both know why. Young love, Kakashi sighed dramatically. So motivational. It's more than that, Kurenai corrected him. It's believing in yourself because someone else believed in you first. Her crimson eyes grew distant. Something many of us had to learn the hard way. Kakashi nodded, suddenly serious. Let's just hope the exams don't teach them an even harder lesson. Boss! Boss! Naruto turned at the shrill cry, a grin already spreading across his face as Konohamaru barreled down the street toward him, his ever-present scarf fluttering behind him like a surrender flag. The Hokage's grandson skidded to a halt, chest heaving with exertion, his two friends Moegi and Udan trailing in his wake. "Whoa, where's the fire?" Naruto laughed, ruffling the boy's hair. "We've been looking everywhere for you." Konohamaru gasped, eyes shining with admiration. "The whole village is talking about your mission. They say you defeated 100 mercenaries and an S-rank missing nin all by yourself." Slight exaggeration, Naruto chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "But yeah, it was pretty epic. Play ninja with us," Moegi pleaded, her orange pigtails bouncing as she hopped from foot to foot. "You can show us that super cool teleporting thing." "Sorry, squirts. I've got training scheduled with." Naruto paused, blue eyes drifting to the end of the street where a familiar figure stood waiting, fingers pressed together nervously. With Hinata, Konohamaru followed his gaze, a mischievous grin splitting his face. "Oh, I get it. She's your girlfriend." Heat flooded Naruto's cheeks. "She's not, we're just Naruto and Hinata, sitting in a tree," Konohamaru sang, dancing out of reach as Naruto swiped at him. "Kissing, get back here, you little!" Naruto lunged, but Konohamaru was already sprinting away, cackling with delight as his friends followed. The chase led them around a corner, where Konohamaru collided face first with something black and solid. He bounced back, landing hard on his backside, and looked up into the painted face of a ninja he didn't recognize. "Watch where you're going, brat," the stranger growled, grabbing Konohamaru by his scarf and hoisting him into the air. "Kankuro, put him down," sighed his companion, a blonde with her hair in 4 spiky ponytails. "We don't need trouble before the exams even start." Naruto rounded the corner, skidding to a halt as he assessed the situation. The strangers' headbands marked them as Sand Ninja, visitors for the Chunin exams, most likely. The male, dressed in a black bodysuit with purple face paint, dangled Konohamaru like a caught fish. The female looked exasperated but made no move to intervene. "Hey," Naruto called, voice deceptively casual. "That's the Hokage's grandson you're manhandling." Probably not the best first impression in a foreign village. "Oh yeah?" Kankuro sneered. "What are you going to do about it, Leaf Boy?" The air around Naruto seemed to vibrate with sudden intensity. He vanished. One moment he was standing 10 feet away, the next he was directly behind Kankuro, a kunai pressed lightly against the Sand Ninja's kidney. "I'm going to count to 3, Naruto whispered, his breath tickling Kankuro's ear. 1. Konohamaru dropped to the ground with a thud as Kankuro released him. Smart choice. Naruto lowered his kunai, stepping back to put space between them. "No harm done." "How did you?" Kankuro's eyes were wide with shock. "That wasn't a body flicker. That was something else." The female Sand Ninja studied Naruto with new interest. "You're faster than you look." A chill ran down Naruto's spine as he sensed another presence. One that had been there all along, masking its chakra with disturbing skill. His eyes snapped to a nearby tree branch where a red-haired boy hung upside down, arms crossed, pale green eyes rimmed with black insomnia shadows fixed unblinkingly on Naruto. "Kankuro," the newcomer said, his voice soft yet carrying an unmistakable edge of menace. "You're an embarrassment to our village." "Chigara," Kankuro stammered, all previous bravado evaporating like morning dew. "I was just..." "Shut up." The command was quiet but absolute. Sand swirled around the redhead as he descended to the ground in a controlled fall. "I apologize for my brother's behavior." The words were correct, but the tone was hollow, devoid of actual remorse. Naruto found himself staring into those pale eyes and seeing something achingly familiar, a loneliness so profound it had twisted into something dangerous. "He's like me," Naruto realized with a jolt. A Jinchuriki. As if hearing the thought, Gaara's gaze intensified. "Your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki." "No point in hiding it. I look forward to killing you in the exams, Naruto Uzumaki." The declaration was delivered with the same flat effect one might use to comment on the weather. Before Naruto could respond, a soft voice called from behind him. "And Naruto-kun? Is everything okay?" Hinata approached cautiously, her Byakugan activated, veins bulging around her eyes as she assessed the strangers. Gaara's attention shifted to her, his expression unchanging but a subtle spike in his chakra betraying his interest. A Hyuga. His gaze returned to Naruto. Your teammate? My friend, Naruto corrected firmly, stepping slightly in front of Hinata. And we should get going. See you at the exams? He took Hinata's hand without thinking, guiding her away from the Sand siblings. Only when they turned the corner did he realize what he'd done, but he didn't let go. Neither did she. Who were they? Hinata asked, her Byakugan fading as they put distance between themselves and the encounter. Trouble, Naruto replied grimly. The redhead, he's like me. A container. Understanding dawned in Hinata's pale eyes. After their weeks of training together, Naruto had finally shared his secret with her, about the 9 tails sealed within him. To his amazement, she hadn't flinched or pulled away. I always knew you were special, she had said instead. This just explains why your chakra shines so brightly to my eyes. Now, her fingers tightened around his. His chakra felt wrong. Unstable. Yeah. Naruto frowned. Like the seal is faulty, or maybe he and his tailed beast aren't exactly on speaking terms. They walked in thoughtful silence until they reached their usual training ground, a small clearing by the river, secluded enough for privacy but close enough to the village for safety. So, Naruto said, deliberately lightening his tone as he released her hand, Kakashi-sensei nominated us for the Chunin exams. Did Kurenai-sensei do the same for your team? Hinata nodded, a mixture of excitement and apprehension flitting across her expressive face. This morning. Kiba-kun couldn't stop howling with excitement. Naruto grinned. Bet Shino was thrilled too. He raised an eyebrow, Hinata reported solemnly, then giggled at Naruto's snort of laughter. For Shino, that's practically jumping for joy. They settled into their usual training routine, beginning with meditation to center their chakra. Seated cross-legged on the grassy bank, Naruto found his thoughts drifting to the upcoming exams. He'd been progressing rapidly with his training, but the encounter with Gaara had been a stark reminder that there were always stronger opponents waiting. Naruto-kun? Hinata's soft voice broke through his reverie. Your chakra is fluctuating. Are you worried about something? He opened one eye, marveling not for the first time at her sensitivity to chakra flows. Just thinking about the exams. The Sand team we met, they're not the only strong competitors we'll face. You're more than ready, she assured him, a quiet confidence in her voice that hadn't been there when they first started training together. Maybe, he conceded. But what about you? Your father still giving you a hard time about your gentle fighting style? A shadow passed over Hinata's face. Hayashi Hyuga's disappointment in his eldest daughter was an open secret in the village. His preference for her younger sister Hanabi. His criticism of Hinata's reluctance to employ the more brutal aspects of the gentle fist style. He says I lack killing intent, she admitted, eyes downcast. That my strikes are technically correct but lack conviction. He's wrong. Naruto's vehemence surprised even himself. Your style isn't weaker, it's evolved. You've adapted the gentle fist to be more precise, more efficient. He stood, extending a hand to help her up. Show me that move we were working on last time. The one where you target the tenketsu around the elbow. Hinata rose gracefully, settling into the distinctive gentle fist stance, but with subtle differences that reflected her personal innovations. Her posture was more fluid, less rigid than the traditional Hyuga style. You're tensing your shoulders again, Naruto observed, moving to stand behind her. With gentle pressure, he guided her shoulders down and back. Remember, your strength comes from your core, not your upper body. The simple touch sent electricity racing down Hinata's spine, but she fought through the distraction, focusing on the correction. When she struck out at an imaginary opponent, her palm connected with nothing but air, yet the chakra discharge was visible even to normal eyes. A brief flash of blue energy. Perfect! Naruto exclaimed, circling around to face her. See how much more controlled that was? You don't need killing intent to be effective. Precision beats power any day. Hinata's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I wish my father could see it that way. He will, Naruto promised. When you aced the Chunin exams, they spent the next hour refining their techniques, trading knowledge as they had been for weeks. Naruto demonstrated a chakra circulation exercise he'd developed to help maintain the modified Flying Thunder God technique, while Hinata showed him how to recognize and target specific tenketsu points. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, they sat side by side on the riverbank, tired but satisfied with their progress. "Naruto-kun," Hinata began hesitantly, "there's something I've been wondering about." He was skipping stones across the water, adding a spin of chakra that made them bounce impossibly far. "The scroll you found that night, what happened to it?" "The forbidden one." Naruto's hand paused mid-throw. "It went back to the Hokage's vault." "Why?" "It's just she fidgeted with her fingers." "You learned so much from it in just one night." "I sometimes wonder what else might have been in there that could help us." A slow grin spread across Naruto's face. "Hinata Hyuga, are you suggesting we steal a forbidden scroll from the Hokage?" "No!" she exclaimed, face flaming. "I would never!" Then she caught the teasing glint in his eye and relaxed slightly. "I'm just curious about what other techniques it contained." Naruto tossed the stone, watching it skip 7 times before sinking. "Actually, I've been working on that. Not stealing the scroll again. Even I'm not that crazy. But I've been researching in the regular library, looking for references to the techniques I glimpsed that night." He reached into his weapons pouch and pulled out a small, well-worn notebook. "I've been compiling notes. Some of it's guesswork, trying to reconstruct the principles behind what I saw. But I think I'm onto something with this chakra extension theory." Hinata leaned closer, their shoulders touching as she examined his surprisingly meticulous notes. Diagrams of chakra pathways, annotated with observations and questions. Theoretical hand-signed sequences. Calculations of chakra expenditure. "Naruto-kun, this is incredible," she breathed, genuinely impressed. "I had no idea you were researching so deeply." He rubbed the back of his neck, a hint of color rising to his cheeks. "Well, I didn't want anyone to know I've suddenly become a bookworm. Bad for my reputation as the village's #1 knucklehead." Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Understanding, acceptance, a recognition of how they both wore masks for different reasons. Hinata, hiding her strength behind shyness. Naruto, concealing his intelligence behind brashness. "I think," Hinata said softly, "that we're both more than people think we are." The moment stretched, fragile and precious, until the distant toll of the village bell broke the spell. "We should head back," Naruto said reluctantly, tucking the notebook away. "Written portion of the exam starts early tomorrow." As they gathered their gear, a comfortable silence settled between them. Walking back toward the village, their hands brushed occasionally, either quite brave enough to take the next step but both acutely aware of the other's presence. "Naruto-kun," Hinata said as they reached the point where their paths would diverge, "good luck tomorrow. Though I don't think you'll need it." "You too, Hinata." He hesitated, then added, "Hey, no matter what happens in the exams, we'll keep training together, right?" The smile she gave him could have outshone the stars just beginning to appear overhead. "I'd like that very much." The examination room buzzed with tension, dozens of genin from various villages eyeing each other with mixtures of curiosity, disdain, and barely concealed hostility. The air felt thick with competing chakra signatures, like static before a lightning strike. Team 7 stood near the entrance, Sasuke coolly assessing the competition, while Sakura fidgeted nervously beside him. Naruto's gaze swept the room methodically, cataloging threats and potential allies. His eyes lingered briefly on Gaara, who stood apart from even his siblings, an island of dangerous calm in the sea of nervous energy. "Look what the cat dragged in," a familiar voice drawled. "The dead last and his fan club." Naruto turned to find Kiba approaching with Team 8, Akamaru perched atop his head as usual. Despite the insulting greeting, there was a new respect in the way Kiba regarded Naruto. Word of the Land of Waves mission had spread quickly among their peers. "Kiba," Naruto nodded in greeting, then smiled more warmly at his teammates. "Hinata, Shino." "Naruto-kun," Hinata returned softly, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "Your chakra signature has changed since the academy," Shino observed in his typical matter-of-fact tone. "Why?" "Because your control has improved exponentially, suggesting intensive training." Before Naruto could respond, Team 10 joined their growing cluster of leaf rookies. Shikamaru yawned widely, looking like he'd rather be napping than participating in something as troublesome as an advancement exam. Choji munched contentedly on a bag of chips, while Ino immediately latched onto Sasuke's arm with a squeal of delight. "Sasuke-kun! I've missed you so much! Ino pig, get your hands off him!" Sakura shrieked, forehead creasing with anger, as the two kunoichi bickered over an increasingly annoyed Sasuke. A silver-haired leaf genin approached their group. "You might want to keep it down," he advised with a friendly smile. "You're attracting attention, and some of these candidates have pretty short fuses." Sure enough, many of the foreign ninja were glaring daggers at the noisy rookies. "Who are you?" Sasuke asked bluntly. "Kabuto Yakushi," the older genin replied, adjusting his glasses. "Something of a veteran at these exams." "Veteran?" Sakura echoed. "You mean you've taken them before?" "7 times, actually," Kabuto admitted sheepishly. "So you're just a failure," Kiba snorted. "Or I have valuable experience," Kabuto countered smoothly, producing a deck of strange cards. "Including intelligence on the competition, if you're interested." Sasuke stepped forward immediately. "Show me Gaara of the Desert and Rock Lee of the Leaf." As Kabuto channeled chakra into his cards, revealing detailed statistics on the requested ninja, Naruto found his attention drawn elsewhere. Something about Kabuto set his instincts on edge. The easy smile, the convenient appearance, the too casual offer of intelligence, it felt orchestrated. His gaze drifted to the front of the room, where 3 sound ninja watched Kabuto with unsettling intensity. Their chakra signatures pulsed with barely restrained aggression. "Hinata," he murmured, moving closer to her. 3 o'clock. The sound team. "What do you see?" Without obvious movement, Hinata activated her Byakugan, veins bulging subtly at her temples. "Their chakra is strange. Especially the one with the bandaged face. It's flowing through some kind of device on his arm." Before they could discuss further, the sound ninja made their move. In a blur of speed, they attacked Kabuto, who dodged the physical strike but still collapsed to his knees, vomiting as blood trickled from his ear. "Sound-based attack," Naruto whispered to Hinata. "Vibrations damaging the inner ear. Remember that for later." An explosion of smoke at the front of the room heralded the arrival of the examination proctors. A tall, scarred man in a black trench coat stepped forward, his face a roadmap of interrogation experience. "All right, you baby-faced degenerates, pipe down and listen up." His voice carried effortlessly across the now silent room. "I'm Ibiki Moreno, your proctor for the first exam, and from this moment, your worst nightmare." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees as killing intent radiated from the scarred jonin. Many genin visibly wilted under the pressure, but Naruto merely straightened his posture, meeting Ibiki's gaze steadily when it swept over him. A fraction of surprise flickered across the proctor's face before his scowl deepened. "Everyone turn in your paperwork and take a seat. You'll be assigned numbers to separate teammates." As they complied, Naruto found himself seated next to a grass ninja whose long hair obscured much of their face. Something about their chakra felt off, too controlled, too contained for a genin. Filing the observation away for later, Naruto focused on Ibiki as the proctor explained the rules of the written test. 10 questions. Points deducted for wrong answers and cheating. Team scoring. A 10th question to be revealed at the end. Get caught cheating 5 times and your entire team fails. The papers were distributed, and Naruto flipped his over with steady hands. The questions stared up at him, each more complex than the last. Problems involving advanced physics, cryptanalysis, hypothetical tactical scenarios that would challenge even a chunin. They're impossible for genin to answer unless Naruto scanned the room, a small smile playing at his lips as understanding dawned. It's not a test of knowledge. It's a test of information gathering. They want us to cheat without getting caught. His gaze found Hinata several rows ahead. Her Byakugan would make this trivial for her, but would she have the confidence to use it boldly enough? As if sensing his concern, Hinata glanced back, and he caught the faintest hint of strain around her eyes. Her bloodline limit already activated, but so subtly that even the proctors lining the walls hadn't noticed. Pride swelled in his chest. She'd figured it out too. For himself, Naruto didn't need to cheat in the traditional sense. During his weeks of accelerated self-study, he devoured books on cryptography, physics, and battle tactics. The questions were challenging but not insurmountable. As he worked through the problems methodically, Naruto's peripheral awareness remained engaged, tracking the gradually thinning ranks as teams were disqualified for clumsy cheating attempts. The grass ninja beside him hadn't written a single answer yet, despite never looking up from their paper. Curious, halfway through the allotted time, Naruto noticed Hinata's shoulders tensing, her writing hand faltering over the fifth question. A quick glance confirmed it was the most technically complex problem, a multivariable equation involving projectile trajectories affected by wind resistance and chakra interference. Without drawing attention, Naruto tapped his pencil against his desk in a deliberate pattern, a simplified code they developed during their training sessions. The wind factor is constant, not variable. Hinata's brush paused for the briefest moment before continuing with renewed confidence. A subtle nod was her only acknowledgement, but it was enough. The minutes ticked by as Naruto completed his paper, double-checking his work before setting his pencil down. His gaze drifted to Sasuke, who was using his Sharingan to copy another candidate's pencil movements. Sakura was writing steadily, her natural intelligence serving her well. When only 15 minutes remained, Ibiki's voice cut through the tense silence. Time for the 10th question. But first, a special rule. His scarred face twisted into a sadistic smile. You can choose whether to accept this question. If you reject it, you fail immediately, but can try again next year. If you accept it and answer incorrectly, you will be barred from taking the Chunin exams ever again. Protests erupted across the room. That's not fair. You can't do that. What kind of rule is that? Ibiki's killing intent spiked, silencing the outcry. Life isn't fair, children. Being a Chunin means making impossible choices. So decide now, stay or go. Hands began to rise as Genin opted out, unwilling to risk their futures on a single question. Teams were dismissed one by one as more candidates surrendered to fear. Naruto observed the psychological warfare with grudging admiration. Ibiki was a master manipulator, weaponizing uncertainty itself. From the corner of his eye, he saw Hinata's hand trembling, slowly beginning to rise. She doesn't believe in herself enough, he realized with a pang. Despite everything we've worked on, decision made, Naruto slammed his palm onto the desk, the sharp crack drawing every eye in the room. You think we're scared of your mind games? He demanded, blue eyes flashing with challenge. I don't care what the question is or what the consequences are. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm going to be Hokage someday. Nothing you can say will make me back down, believe it. Around the room, wavering hands lowered. Backs straightened. Determination replaced fear in dozens of eyes, including Hinata's, who stared at Naruto with a mixture of admiration and gratitude. Ibiki surveyed the remaining candidates, his expression unreadable. Is that your final answer? Last chance to back out. Silence. Not a single hand raised. Very well then. All 78 of you remaining pass. Confusion rippled through the room. What? What about the 10th question? Sakura blurted out. That was the 10th question, Ibiki explained, his severe expression softening slightly. The choice itself. In the field, you'll face situations with incomplete information and terrible potential consequences. A Chunin must have the courage to accept such missions despite the risks. He removed his headband, revealing a scalp horrifically scarred by burns, puncture wounds, and evidence of trepanation. Information is more valuable than life sometimes. People will kill for it, or worse. As he retied his headband, Ibiki's gaze settled briefly on Naruto. Sometimes, one person's courage can transform an entire team's resolve. Remember that. Before anyone could respond, the window exploded inward in a shower of glass. A banner unfurled across the front of the room as a purple-haired woman in a tan trench coat and provocatively little else struck a dramatic pose. Heads up, brats. No time to celebrate. I'm Anko Mitarashi, proctor for the 2nd exam. She surveyed the room with predatory glee. 78? Ibiki, you're getting soft. No matter. I'll cut them down to half before the next stage is through. As the room erupted into concerned murmurs, Naruto caught Hinata's eye across the distance. He gave her a thumbs up and a confident smile, which she returned with a small nod, her earlier doubt replaced by quiet determination. Whatever the 2nd exam held, they would face it together, not as a team officially, but as something perhaps more important. Two people who believed in each other when no one else did. Outside the windows, storm clouds gathered on the horizon, a fitting backdrop for the trials yet to come. The forest of death awaited, and with it, dangers none of them could yet imagine. Dawn painted the eastern sky in shades of blood and fire, casting long shadows across the forbidding perimeter of Training Ground 44. Massive trees stretched skyward like grasping fingers, their ancient trunks wider than houses, their canopies so dense they turned daylight to perpetual twilight. A cacophony of inhuman sounds, chittering, hissing, howling, drifted from behind the chain-link fence, promising dangers untold. The forest of death, Anko announced with sadistic glee, her trench coat flapping in the morning breeze. Soon you'll find out why it has that name. The assembled genin shifted nervously, eyes wide as they took in the foreboding landscape. All except 3. Team 7 stood with unusual composure, their postures relaxed but alert. Sasuke's dark eyes scanned the treeline analytically. Sakura's hand rested on her weapon's pouch, no longer trembling with apprehension. And Naruto, normally the first to issue boisterous challenges, remained silent, his focus so intense it was almost tangible. Anko's sharp gaze caught this anomaly. Something amusing you, Blondie? Naruto met her eyes evenly. Not amusing. Interesting. The chakra emanating from that forest, it's not all animal or plant-based. The proctor's eyebrows shot up in genuine surprise. Since when could a genin sense chakra signatures at this distance? The little loud mouth is right, she recovered quickly. This forest has been the training ground for Konoha's elite for generations. The ecosystem has adapted to chakra exposure. As Anko explained the rules of the survival portion, scrolls, time limits, waivers absolving Konoha of responsibility for inevitable deaths, Naruto drew his teammates into a tight huddle. We need a strategy, he murmured, blue eyes never ceasing their methodical scan of competing teams. The moment those gates open, every team will be hunting. We should set up a rendezvous point, Sasuke suggested, his typical lone wolf instinct surprisingly absent. The Land of Waves mission had taught him something about teamwork, it seemed, and a recognition code, Sakura added, her analytical mind already turning to practicalities. In case we get separated, Naruto nodded. I have something better. Hold out your arms. When they complied, he pressed his thumb against each of their wrists, channeling chakra into precise, tiny seals that glowed briefly before fading into invisibility. What did you do? Sasuke demanded, instinctively activating his Sharingan to examine the chakra pattern beneath his skin. Modified tracking seals, Naruto explained. If we're separated, channel chakra to the seal. I'll be able to sense your location. Sakura's green eyes widened. Since when do you know Fuinjutsu? A shadow of something, memory, pain, pride, flickered across Naruto's face. Let's just say it's in my blood. Before further questions could be asked, Anko's voice cut through the murmuring crowd. Time to distribute scrolls and assign gates. When the signal sounds, you'll have 5 days to reach the central tower with both an earth and heaven scroll. What happens in the forest stays in the forest, except you. Try to come back alive. The forest swallowed Team 7 the moment the gates crashed open, verdant darkness closing around them like the jaws of some primeval beast. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy in knife-like beams that did little to illuminate the shadowy undergrowth. The humid air felt thick with decay and chlorophyll, each breath coating the lungs with the musty perfume of life and death in constant cycle. They moved with practiced coordination, Sasuke taking point with his Sharingan activated to spot traps, Sakura in the middle maintaining awareness of their position and trajectory, and Naruto covering their rear, his enhanced senses stretched to their limit. The first team they encountered, Rain Ninja hoping for an easy ambush, never knew what hit them. Sasuke's fire jutsu, Sakura's precision with kunai and wire, and Naruto's shadow clones executed a textbook takedown. But their scroll was the same Earth scroll Team 7 already possessed. We're attracting attention, Naruto warned as they bound the unconscious Rain Ninja securely. That fight's chakra signature will draw others. We need to move. They traveled for hours, deeper into the forest's heart where the trees grew to impossible dimensions and strange fungus cast bioluminescent glows across warped trunks. Twice they avoided other teams by altering their course based on Naruto's sensing abilities. As afternoon stretched toward evening, they paused in the massive hollow of a long-dead tree to rest and strategize. Most teams will be setting up camp soon, Sakura observed, consulting a rough map she'd been sketching. The reduced visibility gives us an advantage if we keep moving. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Target teams from smaller villages first. Less intelligence on their capabilities means they'll be underestimating us too. Speaking of underestimating, Naruto interjected, his voice dropping to a near whisper, we're being watched. His teammates tensed imperceptibly, hands drifting toward weapons with casual movements that wouldn't alert their observer. Where? Sasuke murmured, Sharingan sweeping the shadows. 2 o'clock, high in the canopy. Chakra signature is wrong. Too massive, too controlled. Definitely not genin level. A proctor checking on us? Sakura suggested hopefully. Naruto's face darkened. No. This feels hungry. Before they could formulate a response, a howling gale erupted from nowhere. A wind jutsu of such magnitude that it separated the team in an explosive burst of debris and splintered wood. Naruto tumbled through undergrowth, instinctively creating shadow clones to cushion his impact against a massive trunk. When he regained his footing, the forest had transformed into a nightmare landscape of shattered trees and unnatural silence. No birds, no insects, no sounds of his teammates. Sasuke! Sakura! He shouted, fingers already forming seals to sense the tracking markers he'd placed on them. A soft chuckle froze his blood. Slithering down from the canopy like liquid shadow came a grass ninja, the same long-haired one who had sat beside him during the written exam. But the chakra emanating from them now was suffocating, ancient, laced with such malevolence that Naruto's instincts screamed to run. Remarkable, the grass ninja purred, voice silky with amusement. Most genin can't sense a jonin suppressing their chakra, yet you pinpointed me instantly. How fascinating. Naruto dropped into a defensive stance, mind racing. Whatever this was, it wasn't a genin. Wasn't even a normal jonin. The killing intent washing over him felt comparable only to Zabuza's, but colder, more calculating, infinitely more patient. Who are you? He demanded, thumbs brushing over the special kunai in his pouch, the ones inscribed with his transportation seals. A collector of interesting specimens. The grass ninja's tongue, unnaturally long, inhumanly dexterous, slithered out to lick their lips. Though I must admit, I came hunting the last Uchiha. You're an unexpected bonus, Ninetales. The casual reference to his sealed beast confirmed Naruto's suspicions. This was no ordinary competitor. You're after Sasuke's Sharingan, he stated flatly, which means you're either an enemy of Konoha or a traitor to it. The grass ninja's laughter echoed unnaturally among the trees. Very astute. But knowledge won't save you. They moved with blinding speed, hands forming seals faster than the eye could track. The forest floor erupted as a massive serpent materialized beneath the grass ninja's feet, its scales gleaming wetly in the dappled light, fangs longer than Naruto's arm dripping venom. Let's see how you fare against one of my pets, the shinobi hissed. An appetizer before the main course, the snake struck with impossible speed for its size. But Naruto had spent weeks training with Hinata, refining his reaction time against her gentle fist strikes. His hands flashed through seals, and he vanished in a yellow-tinged blur, reappearing 20 feet to the left as the serpent's head smashed through the space he'd occupied. Interesting, the grass ninja murmured, eyes narrowing. That wasn't body flicker technique. Something more familiar. Naruto didn't waste breath responding. His fingers crossed in his signature seal. Multi-shadow clone jutsu, the clearing filled with orange-clad duplicates, each armed with kunai tagged with transportation seals. They attacked in waves, not aiming to defeat the giant snake and its master, but to buy time, to locate his teammates, to assess the enemy's capabilities, to formulate a plan against this overwhelming opponent. The snake dispatched clones by the dozen, but each dispelled clone transmitted its brief experience back to Naruto, building a composite picture of the enemy's fighting style. Fast. Fluid. Toying with him, the grass ninja moved like water, like wind, like they had no bones to constrain their movements. Through the chaotic melee, Naruto's senses finally locked onto Sasuke's tracking seal. His teammate was close, and in combat. The pulse of fear in Sasuke's chakra signature was like nothing Naruto had felt from the usually composed Uchiha. Decision made, Naruto threw a specially marked kunai high over the battle, its arc carrying it in Sasuke's direction. The grass ninja's eyes tracked the movement with sudden interest. "Ah, I see," they hissed. "The force technique, simplified. You're full of surprises, little Jinchuriki." Naruto formed the activation seal, feeling the distinctive pull of space-time manipulation. "You haven't seen anything yet." He vanished, the transportation jutsu carrying him to the kunai's position just as it began its downward arc. The scene that materialized beneath him sent ice through his veins. Sasuke, bleeding and wild-eyed with terror, faced the same grass ninja, or an identical clone, who had just been battling Naruto. An illusion? Naruto thought frantically. Or are there two of them? No time to analyze. Sasuke was paralyzed by the enemy's killing intent, helpless as the grass ninja approached with predatory deliberation. Naruto's hands formed seals even as he fell. Wind-style, vacuum bullets, compressed air projectiles slammed into the ground between Sasuke and his attacker, throwing up clouds of dirt and debris that momentarily obscured the battlefield. Naruto landed beside his teammate, grabbing his shoulder to break the paralysis. "Sasuke! Snap out of it!" The Uchiha's eyes refocused, Sharingan spinning wildly. "Naruto? How? No time. Where's Sakura?" A feminine scream answered from nearby, not pain, but battle cry. Through the settling dust, they glimpsed Sakura holding her own against a massive constrictor snake, her kunai glinting as she targeted its eyes with precision throws. The grass ninja surveyed the reunited team with growing amusement. "How touching. The dead last comes to the rescue." Their fingers rose to their face, pulling at the skin with disturbing elasticity. "Perhaps it's time I introduced myself properly." The face peeled away like a mask, revealing chalk-white skin beneath, amber eyes with slitted pupils, and purple markings that accentuated a serpentine appearance. "Orochimaru," Sasuke breathed, recognition and horror mingling in his voice. "The Sannin?" Naruto's mind raced through everything he'd read about Konoha's infamous missing Nin. S-rank criminal. Forbidden jutsu researcher. Rumored immortality seeker. Former Hokage candidate who'd fled the village after his human experimentation was discovered. They were so outmatched. "Your reputation precedes me," Orochimaru smiled, the expression devoid of warmth. "I'm flattered. But pleasantries aside, I've come for something specific." His gaze fixed on Sasuke with naked hunger. "The Sharingan, and the vessel worthy of my investment." "You're not touching him," Naruto snarled, chakra flaring visibly around his form. Red tinged the blue energy, the nine tails responding to his surge of protective rage. Orochimaru's eyes widened with genuine interest. "The fox emerges. But can you control it, I wonder?" The battle that followed would haunt Team 7's nightmares for months to come. Orochimaru toyed with them, testing their limits, analyzing their techniques with the clinical detachment of a scientist studying laboratory specimens. Naruto's shadow clones and transportation techniques kept the Sannin from landing a decisive blow on Sasuke, while Sakura's tactical mind directed their defensive formations. They fought with everything they had: Sasuke's fire jutsu, Sakura's traps, Naruto's wind techniques and clones. They coordinated better than they ever had before, each playing to their strengths in seamless teamwork born of desperation. But it wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. "Fascinating," Orochimaru commented as he casually backhanded Naruto through a tree trunk. The Nine Tails container protecting the last Uchiha. Konoha's pariah becoming its shield. How poetically ironic. Naruto struggled to his feet, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, determination undiminished. "You talk too much." The insult was childish, but it served its purpose, keeping Orochimaru's attention on him, while Sasuke and Sakura maneuvered to flank the Sannin. It was their last, desperate stratagem. If they could just land one good hit, create one opening, they might escape deeper into the forest. Orochimaru's neck suddenly extended with impossible elasticity, his head shooting towards Sasuke like a striking serpent. "Time's up." "No!" Naruto vanished in a flash, reappearing directly in Orochimaru's path. The Sannin's fangs sank into his shoulder instead of Sasuke's neck. White-hot agony exploded through Naruto's body. Not just from the puncture wounds, but from something being injected, a foreign chakra, viscous and cold, trying to establish itself in his system. "Foolish child," Orochimaru hissed, withdrawing to his normal form. That curse seal was meant for the Uchiha, not a Jinchuriki. The results could be unpredictable. Inside Naruto, a war erupted. The Nine-Tails chakra surged against the invading presence, red energy boiling out of his skin to combat Orochimaru's corrupting influence. The seal on his stomach became visible through his torn jacket, glowing with baleful light as ancient Fuinjutsu designed by the fourth Hokage fought against Orochimaru's more recent creation. Naruto screamed, the sound more animal than human as he collapsed to his knees. Through the haze of pain, he was dimly aware of Sasuke launching a desperate counterattack, driving Orochimaru back with a barrage of fire jutsu enhanced by his fully matured Sharingan. Fascinating reaction, the Sannin observed, dodging Sasuke's attacks with contemptuous ease. The Nine-Tails chakra is rejecting my cursed seal. I hadn't considered this possibility. Sakura appeared at Naruto's side, supporting him as his body convulsed. Hold on, she urged, voice tight with concern. Just hold on. Black markings spread across Naruto's skin from the bite wound, then receded as red chakra pushed them back. The pattern repeated, a visible manifestation of the internal struggle between two impossibly powerful chakra sources. Through watering eyes, Naruto saw Orochimaru disengage from Sasuke, his scientific curiosity apparently satisfied for the moment. We'll meet again, Sasuke-kun, the Sannin promise, body beginning to sink into the forest floor like it was liquid. Seek me out when you desire true power. His serpentine eyes shifted to Naruto, gleaming with intellectual interest. And you, Nine-Tails, if you survive this, perhaps you're more valuable than I initially assessed. The interplay between my seal and your tenant is enlightening. Then he was gone, leaving only destruction and the echoes of pain breathing in his wake. Naruto! Sakura's voice seemed to come from very far away. His temperature is spiking. We need to find shelter, clean water. Over there. Sasuke's voice, tight with an emotion Naruto couldn't identify through the pain. Those tree roots form a natural shelter. As darkness claimed him, Naruto's last coherent thought was of pale eyes and gentle hands. Hinata, I promised we'd keep training together. Time lost meaning in the fever dream that followed. Naruto floated in and out of consciousness, sometimes finding himself in a flooded corridor before a massive cage, the Nine-Tails' baleful red eyes glaring down at him. Other times he was a child again, alone on a swing while parents collected their children, whispering about the demon boy. Once, he thought he heard the fourth Hokage's voice, though he never heard it in life. The seal is holding. My son is stronger than this. Reality reasserted itself gradually. First, awareness of cool cloth on his forehead. Then, the murmur of concerned voices, Sasuke and Sakura, taking turns keeping watch. Finally, the realization that the pain had subsided to a dull throb at the junction between neck and shoulder. When Naruto opened his eyes, sunlight dappled the earthen ceiling of their hideout. He struggled to sit up, muscles protesting after what felt like days of inactivity. He's awake! Sakura's exhausted face appeared in his field of vision, dark circles beneath her eyes betraying sleepless nights. How do you feel? Like I went 10 rounds with Granny Tsunade, Naruto croaked, throat painfully dry. How long was I out? Almost 2 days, Sasuke replied, appearing at the entrance to their shelter. His typically impassive face showed signs of strain. We thought we'd have to forfeit. Memory flooded back. Orochimaru, the battle, the bite meant for Sasuke. Naruto's hand flew to his shoulder, fingers probing the tender skin where fangs had pierced. The marks are gone, Sakura explained, offering a water canteen. They receded completely about 6 hours ago. I've never seen anything like it. They'd spread across half your body, then the red chakra would push them back. Over and over until finally the red one. Naruto took a long drink, mind racing. The Nine-Tails had protected him, not out of altruism, certainly, but out of self-preservation. Orochimaru's cursed seal would have been as much a threat to the fox as to Naruto himself. Do we still have our scroll? He asked, forcing his mind back to their immediate situation. Sasuke produced their earth scroll from his pouch. We need a heaven scroll, and we have less than 2 days to reach the tower. Did you encounter other teams while I was? Naruto gestured vaguely to the makeshift sickbed. 3, Sasuke confirmed with a hint of pride. None had the scroll we needed. Naruto attempted to stand, legs wobbling beneath him. Sakura moved to support him, but he waved her off with a grateful smile. I can manage. We need to get moving. Are you sure you're well enough? Concern furrowed Sakura's brow. In answer, Naruto channeled chakra through his system, testing its flow. To his surprise, it responded more smoothly than ever before, as if the battle between the Ninetales and Orochimaru's seal had somehow recalibrated his chakra network. I'm better than well, he realized aloud. The fox chakra didn't just fight off Orochimaru's seal, it burned away impurities in my own chakra system. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. We're not questioning your monster healing abilities, but you were literally dying 2 days ago. You need rest. What I need, Naruto countered, steadying himself against the earthen wall, is to complete this exam. We've come too far to quit now. His teammates exchanged glances, a silent communication born of their recent trials. Finally, Sakura nodded. All right. But you tell us the moment you need a break. No heroics. Deal. They emerged from their shelter into mid-morning sunlight, senses alert for threats. The forest seemed different now, or perhaps it was they who had changed. The encounter with Orochimaru had stripped away any lingering illusions about their place in the ninja world. They were still genin, still learning, still vulnerable, but they had survived a Sannin. That counted for something. This way, Naruto said after a moment of concentration, sensing the unique chakra signatures of gathered teams. The tower's about 6 kilometers northeast. Most surviving teams will be converging there. They traveled cautiously, avoiding unnecessary confrontations. By mid-afternoon, they'd positioned themselves near one of the paths leading to the central tower, preparing an ambush for teams making their final approach. Someone's coming, Naruto whispered from his vantage point in the canopy. 3 signatures wait. His breath caught as recognition dawned. It's Team 8. Below, Hinata, Kiba, and Shino moved through the underbrush with practiced coordination. Akamaru's sensitive nose led their formation, Shino's Kikaichu insects scouted ahead, and Hinata's Byakugan scanned for threats in all directions. They made a formidable tracking unit. Hinata, Kiba prompted, anything ahead? The Hyuga heiress focused, veins bulging around her eyes as her vision pierced the forest. 3 chakra signatures in the trees. There her voice faltered. It's Team 7. Hey guys. Naruto called down, abandoning stealth to land in a crouch before them. Sasuke and Sakura emerged more cautiously from their positions, weapons ready but not threatening. Naruto-kun! Relief washed over Hinata's face, followed immediately by concern as her Byakugan detected the irregularities in his chakra network. You're injured. I'm fine now, he assured her with a grin that didn't quite mask the residual pain. Just a little run-in with Orochimaru. The Sannin? Shino's normally impassive voice carried a rare note of alarm. Why? Because his presence indicates a security breach of the highest order. Tell us about it, Sakura muttered. He was after Sasuke's Sharingan. Kiba whistled low. And you're still walking? Impressive. The atmosphere between the two teams remained cautious but not hostile. They were all Konoha genin, classmates since childhood. But the exam's rules were clear. Only those with both scrolls could advance. Which scroll do you need? Hinata asked softly, her pale eyes never leaving Naruto's face. Heaven, Sasuke answered. A moment of silence stretched between them. Then, to everyone's surprise, Hinata reached into her jacket and produced a heaven scroll. Hinata! Kiba protested. What are you doing? We need that. We have too, she replied with unusual firmness. We ambushed a rain team this morning. She extended the scroll toward Naruto, who stared at it in disbelief. You're just giving it to us? You would do the same, she stated with such simple certainty that no one could argue. Naruto accepted the scroll, fingers brushing against hers in a touch that lingered a heartbeat longer than necessary. Thank you, he said, the words carrying more weight than the simple courtesy required. We should travel together to the tower, Shino suggested pragmatically. Why? Because larger numbers deter potential attackers, and we are now allies rather than competitors. No one disagreed. As they set out toward the central tower, Naruto fell into step beside Hinata, their shoulders occasionally brushing as they navigated the uneven terrain. How bad was it? She asked quietly, Byakugan still active, scanning for threats. Your chakra is different. Orochimaru tried to give Sasuke some kind of seal, Naruto explained, voice equally low. I intercepted it. The Nine-Tails didn't appreciate the intrusion. Horror flashed across Hinata's face. You could have died. But I didn't, he countered gently. And now we're both going to make it to the next round. His expression grew serious. How are you feeling about the preliminaries? Your cousin Neji might be participating. A shadow crossed Hinata's features. I know. He doesn't think very highly of me. Then he's an idiot, Naruto stated baldly. You're one of the strongest people I know, Hinata. Her cheeks colored delicately. You give me too much credit, Naruto-kun. No, he insisted, blue eyes intense. I don't give you enough. The central tower rose from the forest canopy like a sentinel, its weathered stone facade bearing the scars of countless Chunin examinations. Inside, teams who had survived the forest of death gathered in an arena-like space, standing in formation before the Hokage and assembled Jonin instructors. Team 7 and Team 8 had arrived together, their joint entrance raising eyebrows among the proctors. Other successful teams included Team 10, Team Guy, the Sand Siblings, a Sound Team, and a handful of others, far fewer than had entered the forest 5 days earlier. The Hokage's weathered face surveyed them with a mixture of pride and solemnity. Congratulations on completing the second phase. However, there are too many remaining candidates. We must hold preliminary matches immediately to reduce the numbers for the final tournament. A collective murmur rippled through the assembled genin. Immediate elimination matches meant no time to recover from the forest's trials. The matchups will be determined by random selection, the Hokage continued, gesturing to a large electronic screen above the arena. Victory is achieved by knockout, surrender, or my intervention if a match becomes lethal. The winners will advance to the final tournament 1 month from today. Naruto scanned the competition, assessing threats and opportunities. The Sand team looked completely unscathed, particularly Gaara, who emanated the same contained bloodlust as before. The Sound Ninja watched everyone with calculating eyes, their bandaged leader's gaze occasionally flicking to Sasuke with unnerving interest. The preliminary matches began with Sasuke facing one of the Sound Ninja. Despite lingering exhaustion, the Uchiha's Sharingan and fire techniques secured a decisive victory. Shino methodically dismantled his opponent with his Kikeichu insects. Sakura and Ino fought each other to a dramatic double knockout, either advancing. When Naruto's name flashed on the board paired against Kiba, both competitors grinned with anticipation. Don't think I'll go easy on you just because you're dating Hinata, Kiba taunted as they took positions in the arena. We're not, Naruto began, flushing, before catching Hinata's mortified expression in the spectator area. He smirked instead. Just try to make this interesting, dog breath. The match that followed demolished any lingering perceptions of Naruto as the dead last academy student. When Kiba and Akamaru employed their Fang over Fang technique, a whirlwind of claws and fangs that had overwhelmed countless opponents, Naruto simply wasn't there when they landed. His modified Flying Thunder God Jutsu allowed him to place transportation seals throughout the arena, rendering Kiba's speed advantage irrelevant. Each time the Inuzuka thought he had Naruto cornered, the blonde would vanish in a yellow flash, reappearing elsewhere with frustrating casualness. Stand still and fight like a man, Kiba growled after another failed attack. Why would I do that? Naruto replied reasonably, when I can fight like a ninja instead. The assembled Jonin watched with growing astonishment as Naruto systematically dismantled Kiba's strategy, never using excessive force but never giving ground either. It was a textbook demonstration of using an opponent's strength against them, letting Kiba tire himself out with increasingly desperate attacks. When Naruto finally counterattacked, it was with a wind jutsu that scattered Kiba's smoke bombs back at him, followed by precisely placed strikes to pressure points Hinata had taught him during their training sessions. Kiba hit the ground, muscles temporarily paralyzed, unable to continue. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki, the proctor announced, surprise evident in his voice. As medics attended to Kiba, Naruto approached his fallen opponent with an extended hand. Good match. Kiba grimaced but accepted the gesture. When did you get so damn fast? I had a good teacher, Naruto replied, eyes flickering briefly to Hinata in the stands. The matches continued, each revealing strengths and weaknesses among the candidates. Temari of the Sand demolished Tenten with brutal efficiency. Shikamaru outwitted a sound kunoichi despite his trademark laziness. Gara crushed his opponent with sand coffins that left blood spattered across the arena floor, his expression never changing from bored detachment. Then came the match that made Naruto's heart sink, Hinata Hyuga versus Neji Hyuga. The cousins faced each other in the center of the arena, physically similar with their pale eyes and dark hair, yet radiating entirely different energies. Neji, cold and contemptuous, stood with rigid formality. Hinata, shoulders slightly hunched against the weight of his disdain, struggled to maintain eye contact. "I never thought I'd face you, Lady Hinata," Neji said, honorific twisted into mockery by his tone. "Nor I you, Brother Neji," she replied softly. "Before we begin, let me offer some advice." Neji's voice carried easily to the spectators. "Forfeit now. You were never meant to be a ninja. Your gentle nature makes you unsuited for this life. It is your fate to fail here, just as it has been your fate to fail in everything." Each word struck Hinata like physical blows. Her gaze dropped, fingers pressing together in her nervous habit. "You even stand there thinking how to surrender," Neji continued mercilessly. "I can see it with these eyes. Your destiny was decided the moment you were born into the main house, too weak to bear its responsibilities." From the viewing platform, Naruto's hands gripped the railing with white-knuckled fury. "What the hell is his problem? Branch family politics," Kakashi murmured beside him. "The Hyuga clan is divided between main and branch houses. Neji, despite his prodigious talent, was born to serve the main house. Hinata, despite her perceived weaknesses, was born to lead it, so he resents her," Naruto realized, watching Hinata shrink beneath her cousin's verbal assault. "Profoundly," Kakashi confirmed. Below, the match hadn't yet begun as Neji continued his psychological warfare. "You disgrace the Hyuga name with your weakness. Everyone here knows it. You entered these exams only because your teammates required a third member, not because you belong here." Something snapped in Naruto then, a restraint, a social convention, a deference to the formal proceedings. Without thinking, he leaned over the railing and shouted, "That's enough." His voice echoed through the suddenly silent arena. All eyes turned to him, including Hinata's startled gaze. "You don't know the first thing about her," Naruto continued, blue eyes blazing with conviction. "Hinata trains harder than anyone I know. She's developed techniques the Hyuga elders haven't even imagined. She fights with precision instead of brutality, with strategy instead of raw power." He leaned further over the rail, pointing directly at Neji. "And you know what else? She never talks about your precious fate. Never complains about the hand she was dealt. She just works to improve, day after day, without expecting recognition or praise." His voice softened as he addressed Hinata directly. "You don't have to listen to him. You've already proven yourself to everyone who matters." For a heartbeat, the arena held its collective breath. Then, something transformed in Hinata's posture. Her shoulders straightened. Her chin lifted. Her hands fell to her sides, no longer fidgeting but ready. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," she said, voice clear and steady. Then to Neji, "I will not withdraw. Because that is my ninja way." Neji's pale eyes narrowed with contempt. "Fine. But don't blame me for what happens next. Begin," the proctor announced. What followed was both beautiful and terrible to witness. Both cousins employed the gentle fist style, their Byakugan activated, palms striking with precision toward chakra points invisible to normal eyes. But where Neji attacked with ruthless efficiency, each strike designed to cripple and humiliate, Hinata moved with fluid grace, her style influenced by the adaptations she developed with Naruto. She landed the first significant strike, a palm to Neji's shoulder that momentarily disrupted his chakra flow. The shock on his face was palpable. "Impossible," he breathed. "You can have hit me. I've changed, Brother Neji," Hinata replied, not with triumph but with simple acknowledgement. Fury replaced Neji's shock. His next assault was brutal, a barrage of strikes that forced Hinata on the defensive. But even as she took hits, she adapted, her defense evolving as the match progressed. From the sidelines, Naruto analyzed the battle with growing concern. Neji was stronger, yes, but his rage made him predictable. Hinata, despite absorbing punishing blows, maintained her composure, waiting for openings. "She's incredible," Sakura murmured beside Naruto. I've never seen her fight like this. She's always been this good, Naruto replied, never taking his eyes from the match. She just needed to believe it herself. Below, the cousins separated after a particularly intense exchange, both breathing heavily. Blood trickled from Hinata's mouth, evidence of internal damage from Niji's precise strikes, but her stance remained firm, her eyes determined. Why persist? Niji demanded, genuine confusion beneath his anger. You're already defeated. Your internal organs are damaged. Each movement causes you pain, yet you continue this pointless struggle against fate. Hinata wiped blood from her chin, her smile gentle despite her injuries. Because watching me stand here hurts you more than your strikes hurt me, brother. It challenges everything you've chosen to believe. Something dangerous flashed in Niji's eyes, a break in composure that signaled escalation. His next attack was aimed not merely to defeat but to destroy, chakra concentrated for maximum damage. Hinata met it with her own technique, an innovation combining traditional gentle fist with the chakra extension principles she'd developed with Naruto. Their palms connected in a thunderclap of opposing energies that sent both staggering backward. But Hinata's injuries took their toll. She stumbled, coughing blood, one arm clutched protectively around her midsection. Proctor, Kurenai called from the sidelines, concern evident in her crimson eyes. Hinata is... I can continue? Hinata interrupted, voice strained but resolute. She straightened with visible effort, resuming her stance. Niji shook his head in disbelief. Why throw away your life? For what? To impress him? His eyes flicked toward Naruto. He can't save you from what you are. This isn't about Naruto-kun, Hinata replied softly. Or you. Or even the exam anymore. She touched her chest above her heart. This is about me keeping a promise to myself. To never go back on my word. That is my ninja way. The words echoed Naruto's own personal creed so perfectly that his breath caught in his throat. The final exchange happened almost too quickly to follow. Niji and Hinata charged simultaneously, each committing fully to their attack. Palms struck with surgical precision, chakra flared in visible bursts, and when they passed each other, both remained standing for one suspended moment. Then Hinata collapsed, blood pooling beneath her as her overtaxed body finally surrendered to its injuries. Hinata! Naruto vaulted over the railing without thought, racing to her side as the proctor checked her vitals. The winner is Niji Hyuga, the proctor announced, signaling for medical assistance. Niji stood over his fallen cousin, expression unreadable. This is what happens when you fight fate, Lady Hinata. Remember this lesson. Get away from her, Naruto snarled, cradling Hinata's head as medics hurried forward with a stretcher. Your interference changes nothing, Niji stated coldly. She was destined to lose, just as you are destined to fail when we inevitably meet in the finals. As medics transferred Hinata to the stretcher, her eyes fluttered open, finding Naruto's worried face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I wanted to show you how much I've improved. You were amazing, he assured her, throat tight with emotion. Rest now. I'll visit you soon. Her fingers weakly caught his. Naruto-kun, if you face Niji in the finals, don't worry about that now, he soothed, squeezing her hand gently before the medics whisked her away. Rising to his feet, Naruto faced Niji, blood, Hinata's blood, staining his orange jacket. With deliberate movements, he knelt and dragged his fingers through the crimson pool on the floor, then stood and extended his clenched fist toward Niji. On her blood, I swear, Naruto declared, voice carrying through the hushed arena, I will defeat you in the finals. Niji's lip curled in disdain. Bold words from the dead last. Fate isn't so easily defied. Watch me, Naruto replied, his customary boisterousness replaced by quiet, deadly certainty. The Konoha hospital's antiseptic smell assaulted Naruto's senses as he navigated the sterile corridors, a small bouquet of wildflowers clutched awkwardly in one hand. He'd never been comfortable in hospitals. Too many childhood memories of cold treatment, and barely concealed contempt from medical staff who saw only the Ninetales, not the boy. But this visit wasn't about him. He found Hinata's room easily enough, hesitating outside the closed door. What if her family was there? What if they blamed him for encouraging her to fight past her limits? What if the door slid open before he could knock, revealing a startled Kurenai Yuhi? Naruto, the Jonin acknowledged with a small smile. I wondered when you'd visit. He shifted uncomfortably under her knowing gaze. Can she have visitors? She's been asking for you, Kurenai confirmed, stepping aside to let him enter. Don't stay too long. She needs rest. The room was private, surprisingly spacious. Hyuga clan privileges, no doubt. Hinata lay propped against pillows, her pale skin nearly matching the sheets, dark hair creating stark contrast against the hospital white. Monitoring seals glowed softly on a panel beside her bed, tracking her chakra and vital signs. She looked up as he entered, surprise and delight transforming her tired features. Naruto-kun. Hey, he said, suddenly shy. I brought these. He thrust the wildflowers forward with uncharacteristic awkwardness. They're not fancy or anything, but they're beautiful, she assured him, accepting them with a smile that made his heart do strange acrobatics. Thank you. Kurenai produced a vase from a cabinet, filled it with water, and arranged the flowers before excusing herself with a knowing glance between the young ninja. Alone with Hinata, Naruto perched on the edge of the visitor's chair, unsure what to do with his hands. How are you feeling? Better than I look, she replied, attempting humor though wincing as she shifted position. The medics say no permanent damage. I should be discharged in a few days. That's great. His enthusiasm faded as he noticed the shadow behind her smile. What's wrong? Hinata's fingers twisted in the sheet. My father visited earlier. He wasn't pleased with my performance. Something hot and uncomfortable settled in Naruto's chest. What? But you were incredible. You landed hits on Neji that no one expected. You created new techniques that had the Jonin talking. How could he not be proud? He said I disgraced the clan by revealing new techniques without elder approval, she explained softly. And that I fought emotionally rather than strategically. That's ridiculous, Naruto sputtered, outraged building. You fought smarter than anyone I've seen. You adapted to Neji's style, you conserved chakra, He caught himself as he noticed Hinata's expression, not sadness, but something like warm surprise. What? He asked, confused by her gentle smile. You saw all that, she said simply. No one else did. Not even my father with his Byakugan. The realization humbled him. For all his obliviousness in some areas, he had observed details of her fighting style that even her clan head had missed. Because he had trained with her, because he had watched her grow. Because he cared. Yeah, well, he rubbed the back of his neck self-consciously. I pay attention to important things. Pink dusted her cheeks as she looked down at her hands. The finals are in 1 month. Will you continue our training sessions when I'm recovered? Of course. He leaned forward eagerly. But not just for my match. For yours too, confusion furrowed her brow. Mine? But I lost in the preliminaries. So? This isn't the last Chunin exam. We'll train for the next one, and the one after that if necessary. His face grew serious. Unless you don't want to train with me anymore? No. The vehemence of her denial surprised them both. More softly, she added, I'd like that very much. Awkward silence settled between them, filled with things unsaid. Naruto fidgeted with his jacket zipper while Hinata's fingers resumed their nervous dance in the hospital sheet. Hinata, he finally ventured, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Her pale eyes lifted to his, a mixture of hope and apprehension. Yes? The gentle fist style, how does it target the chakra network so precisely? I need to understand it better if I'm going to face Neji in the finals. If disappointment flickered across her features, it was gone too quickly to register. Instead, determination replaced it as she straightened against her pillows. I can show you, she offered, activating her Byakugan with visible effort. The Hyuga fighting style is built around our ability to see the 361 Tenketsu points in the human chakra system. For the next hour, Hinata explained the fundamentals of her clan's techniques. Not just the external movements, but the internal chakra manipulation that made them so devastatingly effective. Naruto listened with uncharacteristic focus, asking intelligent questions that surprised and pleased her. So even if I can't see the Tenketsu, he summarized, I can target the 8 major chakra gates and the pathways between them? Exactly. Pride colored her voice, not for her clan's techniques, but for his quick understanding. Neji's style relies heavily on the traditional 64 palms approach. If you can disrupt his rhythm or force him to defend unexpected angles. She demonstrated a counter-sequence with her hands, movements limited by her injuries but precise nonetheless. Naruto mirrored her, his larger hands awkward but determined. Like this? He asked, adjusting his finger position, almost. Without thinking, she reached out to correct his form, her smaller hands guiding his. The contact sent warmth spreading through both of them, and their eyes met in sudden awareness of their proximity. Neither pulled away immediately. Hinata, Naruto said quietly, their hands still touching, when I face Niji, it won't just be about advancing to Chunin. I know, she whispered. He hurt you, Naruto continued, voice tight with restrained emotion. Not just physically. He tried to break your spirit with his words before the match even began. I can't forgive that. Her fingers tightened around his. Don't fight him for revenge, Naruto-kun. That path leads nowhere good. Not revenge, he clarified, blue eyes intense. Justice. Recognition. He needs to understand that his views on fate are wrong, that people can change their destinies through hard work and determination. Understanding dawned in her pale eyes. You're not just fighting for me. No, he admitted. I'm fighting for both of us. And for him too, in a way. He's as trapped by his beliefs as you were by your self-doubt. A soft knock at the door broke the moment. A nurse entered, bowing apologetically. Visiting hours are ending, Uzumaki-san. Hyuga-sama needs her rest. Naruto nodded, reluctantly releasing Hinata's hands. I'll come back tomorrow, if that's okay? I'd like that, she replied, fatigue evident in her voice despite her smile. As he rose to leave, a thought struck him. Hey, Hinata? Yes? Your father's wrong. About your fighting style, about your worth as a ninja, about all of it. His expression was uncharacteristically solemn. Someday he'll see what I already do, that you're going to change the Hyuga clan for the better. Believe it. The door closed behind him before she could respond, leaving Hinata staring at the space he'd occupied, tears gathering in her pale eyes, not from pain or sorrow, but from the overwhelming realization that someone finally, truly saw her. Outside, leaning against the hospital wall, Naruto tilted his face toward the star-filled sky. 1 month to prepare for the finals. 1 month to master new techniques. 1 month to prove to everyone, especially Niji, that fate was just another obstacle to overcome. His hand rose unconsciously to his shoulder where Orochimaru's bite had been, now just smooth skin thanks to the Ninetales' intervention. So much had changed since that night with the Forbidden Scroll. He'd gained techniques, yes, but more importantly he'd gained perspective. Purpose. People precious to him. With renewed determination, Naruto pushed off from the wall and headed into the night. He had training to do, promises to keep, and a destiny to rewrite, not just his own, but Hinata's as well. The Chunin exams were far from over. In many ways, they had only just begun.